Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside.
Ooh, we're back and it feels good. A day late and a dollar short, but we're having fun. Welcome to Show Business, guys. I am Lindsay of my 2 cents of nonsense. And to my right, left, whichever one we got, my buddy Charles. Say hi.
Screen right. Hi, everyone. I hope you had a good holiday or are currently having good holidays or will have a good holiday tomorrow.
Don't tell me what to do.
It feels weird that Monday is off schedule. If we did this 2 months ago, this would be the day, but rounding out the three, bottom screen, Gray.
Hey, I'm Gray Poupée. I'm here to add flavor to the flops and zest to the best, or something.
Ooh. Oh,
wow.
Okay. Someone got a new toy for Christmas.
Early. Oh no, I've had this toy. I just haven't had the right things to put.
That's hilarious. But yeah, guys, we're here to talk basically the last little chunk of the year here.
Hours left in this glorious 2024. Good riddance.
Yeah, let me tell you, I am not going to be happy to see this one go bye-bye. But before we could have it go bye-bye, we should probably look at the weekend that was. Yeah, look at those segues. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. I'll take a segue to where I learn how to use a segue. But in first place, we have Sonic 3 in its second weekend, right? With $37 million, $137 million total. And Mufasa coming in second place, which there's been some controversy about Mufasa in first or second place, but we'll go over that later. 36.8 million, 114 total. Nosferatu is doing pretty good. 21 million, 40 altogether, not bad. Wicked still pulling in about 20, good for it. Moana 2, sadly still pulling in about 20. And A Complete Unknown, which I haven't seen, but my dad did. And he for the most part liked it. $12 million and 23 million altogether. Yeah. Personally,
the interesting thing is due to the fact that both Christmas and New Year's are midweek, some things being released in the middle of the week.
Yes.
If you go back to those numbers, all the things from last week, their numbers are plus as opposed to down. So Mufasa actually gained 5%, Wicked gained 37%, Moana 2 gained 38%.
That's interesting.
It's a little deceptive, but that's only because, people had like a 5 or 6 day weekend. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring us to a screeching halt for that. But
no, you're good. I'm just going over the numbers in my head. Who doesn't love a good 5 to 6 day weekend? But out of curiosity, have you guys seen some of the hubbub on the interwebs about people like fighting over what's the top movies, Sonic 3 or Mufasa?
Those are actuals.
It was so close. Yeah.
Those are not estimates. Those are actuals. Mufasa is 36.8 and Sonic is 37.010, I think. If
Something
I'm not mistaken.
like that.
Yeah, it's close, but it's
yeah. Sonic 3 is definitely winning the domestic game. And correct me if I'm wrong, has it finally opened overseas? Because for a while it wasn't open overseas, and while Mufasa was, and what the drama was Disney did a whole campaign about like #1 movie in the world, while it was not making as much money domestically as Sonic 3 was, and so that caused people's interpretations of what those types of things meant to kind of I don't know. It was kind of interesting to watch a little bit, at least from my perspective.
Was this on X or the thing formerly known as Twitter, or like where
Twitter?
Is this?
Well, there is no X. There's just Twitter, sir.
I mean, use your platform, but you can brag about it anywhere. But yeah, you can brag about it on Twitter, sure.
It's weird how worldwide comes up for bragging purposes,
Mhm.
but only then.
Right. That's the only time. It's usually the number one movie in America or the number one. Well, I guess
Right.
it's usually number one movie in
Oh
America.
yeah, usually like number one thing in the world, or
Mhm.
you know, whatever like helps fit your little narrative. It's, I guess, it wouldn't fly in Denmark. That's one thing I know. You can't say something that isn't true, so they wouldn't be able to
Oh,
say they're number one in the world.
and this is hilarious
Oh
from
wait, what's
Alex.
happening?
Thanks for watching, Alex.
Hey, Alex.
Disney's official Twitter is hiding every reply about Sonic 3. There is hundreds and hundreds of hidden replies if you scroll. How embarrassing! That is absolutely
Why?
hilarious if they are doing that. Also, quick hi to Sean. Quick hi to Manny. Thank you for
Yeah,
stopping
yeah.
by, guys. But it's
Why does it
look,
matter? Wait, I'm confused.
well, it doesn't. It's mostly just internet drama and Disney trying to like advertise their movie as something more than what it is. Because I mean, Sonic 3 has to do better globally, like
Dude,
right?
Sonic won the week that we weren't here. Sonic beat
Mhm.
out Mufasa, so like they're
Yeah.
still licking their wounds.
Fair,
For sure,
I'm pulling
but
up
not
the. Oh, go ahead.
worldwide. Just, I mean, that was here in America, but
Mhm.
worldwide, different story. So Disney's pushing that story.
So currently, Mufasa is sitting at 327 million worldwide, while Sonic only has 210 worldwide. But domestically, Sonic has 136, while Mufasa only has 113. And it is you really got to bring this up, or at least I believe you do if you want to be honest. Sonic didn't get released internationally until I think the 27th or the 28th, whereas Mufasa came out days before that. So
Sonic is
worldwide,
not out in
globally,
Sonic
go
is
ahead.
not out in China yet. That's big.
That is huge.
That's a big market. Brazil, not out yet.
That's
Um,
a pretty big one.
what do we have here? Greece. That's not that big a deal.
No one cares about Greece. Ever since the
really not
toga
that
went
big a
out of
deal.
fashion.
I mean, Mexico's 10 million for Sonic. Russia, the numbers aren't in yet. So
Oh, but okay.
I don't know how big an audience Russia is for Sonic, but you're right.
Mhm.
It's not as out there as you would think.
And
And
Mufasa is
Japan,
worldwide. Mufasa is everywhere right
you're
now.
at.
That's and like I don't care about internet drama. I'm not like trying to get people to like agree with me because someone said something mean to me on Twitter, but I just think it's fascinating that like moviegoers out here are arguing over which is more successful and which is not. And I don't know. I think that's amusing. And I also think it's a sign of how much people don't like Mufasa. We'll get into the qualities of Mufasa in a moment here. But people
I
also
mean,
really love Sonic.
Mufasa's on more screens
Oh,
and made
really?
less money. Mufasa's on 4,100.
Mhm.
Sonic is on 3,700. So
That's amazing.
per theater average, Sonic 3 opened with $15,980 per screen. This
Mhm.
past week, it was 9,820. Mufasa last weekend was 8,636. This weekend, 8,977. So,
Incredible.
of the audience, they're not performing as well.
Yeah.
So if you put Sonic on more screens, it would be even less close. So it's
I don't know. It's just people getting involved with the box office. It makes me happy. It feels like we're not just out here just talking numbers like nerds. Average people do care about these things. They care about the profits of billion. Oh God, that feels dirty to say $1 billion corporations. But a quick happy Thanksgiving to you two, Stiff Kittens. Thank you so much. And a good
Indeed.
evening to Tiger Man. I always did think of Garfield as a tiger personally. He's just got the coloring. So yeah, thanks for indulging with me a minute. It's just my odd little fascination as because like you'll see people come to these epic debates on Twitter right now about no, but you see, international America doesn't matter. There's a whole other rest of the world, but like 90% of the time, that argument is reversed.
Yeah,
and
like
people are, I don't know.
the one thing, it seems like drama culture in the movie universe always comes to something that can be objective, like numbers, which there's nothing more objective than math. But you know, when arguments turn into, yeah, well, their toy sales are down, and it's just like, dude, what does that have to do with the quality of the movie?
But the one
This-
action figure, it's not selling.
Yeah, there are things where it's just like, oh, for that budget, all right, did you pay for it? What, like, yeah, it's miserable, but how often are you concerned about? I don't know. I better not talk any further because we'll consider ourselves meaningless if I keep talking.
Well, I'll very quickly say hello to a man who's happy to see Disney not do very well. What's up,
Row sales?
Rosales? Row sales. You row those sales, sir. Good to see you, buddy. So Mufasa. I'm the only one that saw it, right?
I believe
Doing your
so.
part.
I'm the only person in the entire world who saw this movie. So let me tell you, let me tell you guys a tale. First of all, I did not want to see this. Literally, the only reason I ended up going to see it was I had no power all day yesterday, and there was nothing to do at my house. So I decided I'm gonna go see a movie, and Mufasa was the only one starting.
Sure.
So Disney took your power?
Yeah, Disney literally deprived me of power in order to get
Hollywood, California, well known for their limited access to films.
Well,
Keep going,
we only
Benji.
can have so many rats running on wheels to generate our power at one time. So, yeah, okay, I did not care for this movie. I had no hopes going into it, but it kind of still let me down. The basic story is it opens with a nice little tribute to James Earl Jones. That has to be said. They did add him saying something about the circle of life at the start of the movie, and if they didn't, he wouldn't have had a line in the movie. But you know, he was a big part of the franchise, so it is nice that they're at least doing that. But it just picks up with Simba and like talking to his kid. He's about to have another kid, and Simba goes off to have the other kid with his wife, Nala. And then the movie is Rafiki and Timon and Pumbaa telling Simba's kid Kiari the story of Mufasa and his entire backstory of his life before the first Lion King movie.
So the prologue is present day, and the film is
in the
flashback of sorts. Cool.
And I don't know if it was the worst part of the movie, but one of the worst parts of the movie would be whenever it would go back to the present, because I love Seth Green, and not Seth Green. So I do like Seth Green, but I love Seth Rogen, and I love I'll think of his name in a moment. The guy who plays Timon. But they were insufferable in this movie. This movie in the first hour has a legitimate fear of silence, of just letting things be on screen, and it just fills your ears with nonsense dialogue of people just saying nothing. Like the closest thing I could compare it to would be Ghostbusters 2016, how they're just always improvising and riffing, but this is an animated CGI movie, so you're not on set riffing. They're like inventing riffing, or like reinventing riffing, or like trying to force it in, and it's really painful. But the story is Mufasa is a kid with his parents. There's a great drought, and then suddenly the original was Nathan Lane. It's like a big deal that there's this drought, and then there's not a drought. There's a massive, huge rainstorm that causes a flood, and Mufasa gets separated from his family, and he gets adopted by these other lions, and that's how he meets this dude Taka, who becomes his brother, and they go on this grand adventure together to find a new home, and they meet another lion named Sarabi, and
so
Taka.
why doesn't this work? Because it sounds like you're just an AI YouTube channel just giving us the summary of the movie.
Well, that's the point I'm trying to give across. The point I'm trying to get across is this is the most generic movie you're ever going to see. It's a road trip movie, and the biggest conflict of it comes from Taka and who's Scar, by the way. The big twist of this movie is he's Scar. Scar and Mufasa both fall in love with the same lioness. Oh, sorry. It's given away in the trailer. And part of the insufferable things that Timon and Pumbaa are constantly doing throughout this movie is, who's Taka going to end up being? Am I going to end up being Taka? Who's Taka? I've never heard of this Taka guy before. And now suddenly he's a big, so they're like really drawing attention to the fact that Taka is going to end up being Scar. And the reason why the brothers fail is because they both fall in love with the same lioness, and because they can't both have her, Scar becomes evil. This movie is garbage. I don't know if it's the worst movie I saw this year. It's definitely not the worst movie I saw this month, considering Craven literally put me to sleep. But this movie was pointless. It could not
Pointless?
justify
But
it's very pointless.
Lin
Yeah.
Manuel, man, come on! Like he jumped ship from Moana. He's not on Moana 2. He went to, Mufasa.
The music in this movie felt like it was done by a complete amateur. Like, I'm not by any means like a musical expert, but it felt so phoned in. Like, the first big song with Taka, Scar, and Mufasa is just them saying brother over and over again and rhyming brother with mother like 6 or 7 times. And I'm not saying like in the chorus rhyming brother with mother, like, the
Alice in
individual like parts of the songs they're doing it. It's just it's just so bad.
It is defense. It's hard to rhyme Mufasa.
True.
I'm just saying.
I am not a musical expert. I don't know how hard it is to write songs like this, but I do know that the villain song in this was Bye Bye. And it features the villain just saying over and over and over again, bye bye. That's his catchphrase. Like they've and it's what's his name from Casino Royale, the villain.
Lashif.
Yeah. What's that actor's name? He was also in Doctor Strange. That movie about drinking and
Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads Mikkelsen, that's it. And he's so good. He's incredible, but he's just saying bye-bye over and over again. And it's like the least intimidating thing you'll ever see a villain do. Kids will probably like it because there's constant jokes and constant motion and constant things happening. But I felt a cheese grater getting scraped across me every second I was watching this movie. This is definitely more Return of Jafar instead of Aladdin and the 40 Thieves. If you know the Aladdin sequels, it's really bad.
Yeah, I think there's something to family films being whether or not they're good. Emily's family was talking about that they went out to see Moana 2. Again, it's not something we're talking about right now, but didn't have anything noteworthy to say about the movie, and basically implied it was just to kill time to be out of the house. I think
that's why I saw this.
we'll get to it again later, but there's really something to be said for what's happening at the movie theater, and it's not drawing people in with something that will, like, it almost seems like people are going to the theater to not be home. And it's not, oh, wow, let me go see this great thing. It's, all right, let's get these kids out of this ridiculous house, and it'll be like a night out for them. Also, I don't have to make dinner and, I don't know, other reasons.
That feels accurate. It really does. I don't know, man. Like you brought it. You mentioned Moana too. Like he jumped ship from the Moana franchise to this, and this is the product that we got. Would Moana 2 have been worse? Would he have phoned that in too, or
I think originally, since it was supposed to be a TV show, he would have viewed it as like a step down, where like the Lion King movie is at least, it's a cinematic experience, where Moana 2 got shaped into that. It wasn't initially supposed to be that. But I don't know. I wonder if he would have preferred staying in the same lane.
Gray,
I don't know.
On the flip side, how is Sonic 3?
It was lovely. If you just haven't gotten enough Jim Carrey as that role, you're in for a treat. You can get twice as much of him this time. He has come out of retirement, and he is as Jim Carrey as he ever has been. But it's the third one in this already, and there was a TV show in between the last one and this one, so you kind of know what you're getting. But it feels like it's on par with the other ones. It doesn't feel like this is just a cash grab. I guess the fact that it's like that series of games, it does feel like you could kind of keep doing that. Although this isn't exactly like straight up on the games, they are involving the world, and they're bringing in Cyclops, which is great. But I don't know. I dig it. They are setting up a next one. This is definitely a franchise, but now we get the female Sonic. I forget her name, but the other one from the cartoon way back in the day.
There's a female Sonic?
Cool.
Yeah,
Whoa,
she's like
cool.
the pink one or whatever.
I thought Tails was
her name.
Wasn't Tails a girl?
No, Tails is the dude. That's Miles.
Yeah, Tails is the boy.
Or something.
Yeah.
All right.
Come on,
All
man.
right. I'm just going by color because Like it's blue, black, and then like yellow. And
Amy,
it's small.
colorist
Thank you,
over
Alex.
here,
I always
guys.
forget her name.
Amy, of course it's Amy.
Amy Jo Johnson.
But good times. I think they're going to keep going on for a while because there's yet other iterations and other family members and far off ones. But we haven't had the end of Knuckles' adventure or anything like that. So we can always go ahead and fork off if we need to, and go on different adventures in this multi-universe. But I gotta say, I really think this one's holding up a lot better than some of the other franchises. So
The first two
good on them.
seemed okay. It didn't seem like it was tired just yet, which is something positive. I don't know.
The first Sonic is okay.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. It's
Right.
just I just never felt compelled to ever watch it again or the sequel. Go ahead, Gray. What were you gonna
Fair
say?
enough. I was going to say it's really in that same vein. So if that wasn't for you, this isn't going to be for you. They're not like breaking new ground with these. They're just kind of bringing in additional characters and filling out this universe. But yeah, if you liked the kind of humor and the power explanation in those first couple ones, this is for you.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say much stronger than Moana 2. And from what I understand, Mufasa. So if you're going to one of those kind of sequel franchises, Sonic would be the one I'd suggest. But pick your poison.
Here's a question: is Sonic willing to be quiet for a couple of moments in the first hour?
That's not his character, man. He's a motor mouth. Okay,
Well, like
he
the
talks
movie at
fast, he
large.
walks fast. You do have some time without Sonic on screen, but it's part of the character. He's supposed to be motor mouth as well. So
I guess that's fair. That's fair. Oh, jeez. Thank you,
Marcy.
Appreciate
We
you,
are not
buddy.
reading that, but thank you for that. 17 Danish kroner, tak.
Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, no, man. I probably should have seen Sonic because I love Keanu Reeves. I love Idris Elba. And what's his name who plays Sonic? I like him a lot too. That's
is it
Jean
Ben Schwartz,
Ralphio,
I
right?
think?
Yeah, Ben Schwartz.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
I adore him.
Well, not only that, but the humans are pretty awesome as well. I'm always calling him Cyclops because that is what he is to me. But is it James Marsden or?
It is.
I believe it's Marsden.
It
That dude, I love what he brings to the screen, and he is kind of the human element of this, and he's doing a good job. But
I didn't hate Jury Duty either, or is that what it was called? The Amazon
it was
show?
an interesting show. Yeah,
It was.
I had no idea. I hadn't heard anything of it, and then I just kind of started binging that one. I dug that as well, and that dude is willing to make fun of himself in quite a few ways. So
I do like Marsden. There's James Marsden, who I really like, and there's James Marsters, who you might also be worried you're going to mix them up.
Yes, I always confuse the two.
Yeah. But honestly, they're both great. Two top level Jameses, like top 20 Jameses on the planet.
James M's. You
James
could
M's,
not find better James M's.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Mufasa's going to keep making money, and we're going to keep getting these weird ass live action movies. But Sonic is cool, so I'll have to find time to see it.
The weird thing is they're going to keep making these either animated or family films because they're the only viable thing. Even though horror, you can put far less.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say effort, but horror is far more productive than something like comedy. I mean, Jason Blum apparently is a billionaire. I didn't know that.
Well,
I didn't know that, but that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe not after this year. I don't know. Definitely not with ratings wise or anything like that.
No.
He is at the bottom of everyone's list, or at least that company is, from what I've been seeing around the net.
Okay.
But I don't know. It just seems interesting to me. You're right. I think that's kind of where you're going, is remaking these. Do you think it is just for, I guess, monetary reasons, or I don't know. Somebody kind of brought it up to me a little while ago that they don't want to see anything that's like older than 20 years. And it's like, okay, almost all of those cartoons are that old now. I don't know. When I was a kid, I had no problem watching like Snow White or anything like that. But I don't know. Is it just those are too dated, so we need to have a newer version of it?
I don't know. I think
That's a depressing thought.
I think a lot of people in Hollywood, it's certainly like the higher up you go, like studio heads and things like that, they're very cynical about how they view an audience. Like they'll hear just raw stats about a TikTok audience, and they'll be like, "Oh, okay, so this is the answer. We'll do this because I don't know. I have a kid who has a friend who blank," and without putting any real thought or effort into it. I mean, this is the final weekend of 2024, and it looks like we have the top 10, including international. So the worldwide grosses for the year. Inside Out 2 is at the top with 1.69 billion. Deadpool and Wolverine number 2 with 1.33 billion. Despicable Me 4 just shy of $1 billion. Moana 2 will probably make a little bit more, but this is the calendar year of 24, so these spots are probably pretty firm. Dune Part 2, 714. Wicked in 6th with 634. Godzilla X Kong, 571. Kung Fu Panda 4. YOLO, a Chinese film in the top 10.
Cool.
Good for them.
Venom Last Dance in 10th with 476.
What's all those people
That's
saying this franchise is dead? It's in the top 10 for the year. I mean, like what else do you want?
Everyone, they seem to be giving Sony such crap on this, but is your franchise in the top 10?
I mean, like I don't know what YOLO is. Apologies, I didn't do my proper homework, but everything else there is some sort of franchise thing, and at least half of those films are made for, families or wider audiences.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so 4 of them are directly kids. Inside Out 2, Despicable Me 4, Moana 2, and Kung Fu Panda 4. Do we count Wicked as a kids thing? Because it's family?
I would.
It definitely is a sequel.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's nothing there too adult or anything like that.
Okay.
I would say
Yeah.
Godzilla Kong is like young kids, like
Man.
old kids, like young teenagers. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess Deadpool and Dune might be the only thing. Well, I guess Venom.
Was Dune rated R? Or...
No,
I
it
don't
goes
think Venom is
PG-13.
necessarily adult.
We're losing
we might
Gray.
be losing Venom, yeah.
But for the most part, Gray, what were you saying about Venom?
Just it seems. I guess that.
Sorry,
It doesn't matter what he has to say. Just remember that. It doesn't matter.
We're all here just to look at Gray's hair. It's okay.
I'm asking to set him up for your laughter, everyone. Gray, you've punched out twice in a row on Venom. So Sony doesn't want the people to hear what you have to say, is what it seems like.
Well, what Gray has to say is the true death of the Spider-Man universe movie cinematic experience.
Once
Are you
more,
with us,
good
Gray?
luck.
Can you hear us?
I can now. I seem to be having connection issues. I apologize about that.
No. It's all good, buddy.
Yeah, good times.
I
I
there's
said
an
nothing
R-rated
profound.
movie in the
Let's
top
move on.
10. Oh, sorry. Go
Venom?
Yeah, finally.
Sorry, Gray.
Finally. I'm glad that there's an R-rated one in there. Deserved.
Venom is R-rated?
No.
No.
Deadpool.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
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 An R-rated Venom movie. That'd be sick. How'd we go 3 Venom
We need
movies
that.
and not get an R-rated one? Like, he eats people's heads. He bites them off.
You should.
Hey, here, put that up one more time, or here, maybe I can put it up. Hey, look at me go.
That was me. But go ahead.
Oh, what's it? Oh, I apologize.
I like the other thing too. If you look to the far right, those are the studios. Disney, 3 of the top 4.
That's what I was gonna be looking at.
Gnarly stuff. Universal in 3 of the top 10. Warner has 2 spots, and Sony. I wouldn't think Venom is the thing that Sony should hang their hat on, but we'll get to their story in a little bit. But I don't know, Warner. If you look at Warner's year, if I were them, and I think they do have a couple of like branching off ideas for Dune, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I heard
Like-
good things about the show.
Yeah, I would put dumb money into that, and because they appear to be just allergic to making good financial decisions. So I would say, double down on what works. I mean, Godzilla, that seems to be something that doesn't take much thought. They just, whether it be an American version or a Japanese version, people are watching it all over the place. So I don't know. I mean, I guess this year is Superman. So
it is curious, dude. How much do we think? How many of these Godzilla movies, these MonsterVerse movies, do you think they can keep spitting out? Like, does it feel like the tank's running dry on these, or do we feel like it's?
I mean, it's still top 10.
Strong? That is true.
Well, okay. So Planet of the Apes ones, I kind of would have thought going into the this year that one would be somewhere in the top 10. I probably would have thought maybe like Fall Guy or something like that would be there too. It's not. So would you say like Planet of the Apes, they're on the decline now since they're not up there? It still feels like that franchise is not dead yet. Same thing with Quiet Place. It feels like they're trying to branch out on that. I don't feel like any of these are quite dead yet, but
Quiet Place
definitely
is
not
Paramount.
That. Mm-hmm.
Paramount.
They're definitely not that every audience, that general audience feel that a lot of these on the top 10 are.
I think the disappointing thing on top of the Apes movies is it's got to be Mad Max.
Yeah.
Like Furiosa just missed.
I'm still upset about that.
And I still haven't seen it. There are a couple things I need to see. Dune, I will be watching before the end of the year, which is today, essentially. Furiosa, there are things that just, people aren't complaining about how bad they are, but they're just not making money.
And I mean, Godzilla X Kong was the highest grossing of the franchise, so I'm wrong. Ignore me. My speculation was completely meritless.
Well, yeah, we talked about it earlier in the year when it was released. Those movies, they just perform well.
Yeah.
Even if they put $200 million into it, they doubled their money back, which is far better than you could ask for something like a Joker sequel. But
oh my god,
yeah. But did anyone think that was going to be $1 billion again? This
if you didn't, why would you put $250 million into that project?
It seems like you want to lose money, but maybe that's just me. It just seems like lightning in a bottle. Like, hey, this really, low budget thing happens to strike big. I don't think you can say, hey, that's a model. Let's just keep going on that. But
you like to gamble in Japanese Plinketto machines, and Warner likes to gamble on on passion projects from the DC universe, which isn't really the DC universe.
Fair enough.
I mean, everything's a universe, right? I'm just waiting for the ultimate team up movie of like Marvel versus DC versus Godzilla. Like, let's get all the big franchises together into one thing here.
I see color.
Oh yeah.
Marcy, 89 Danish kroner. Thank you. Let me. Yep, I'm gonna have to. Even though my previous super chat says differently, I'm more of a kitty cat guy. Anyway, I would like to say I love Keanu, but his acting stuff Shadow is a bit stiff. Are you talking about the movie with the cat in it, Keanu? Because that was a good time.
I love that movie, actually. Oh my god, can we talk about that movie for the next 2 hours? Like, I adore that movie.
I think that movie deserved a little bit more than it got, but I don't disagree. I think he's supposed to be kind of the counterpart to Knuckles, where both of them are very kind of staccato in how they deliver lines, and then they're not supposed to really kind of get humor or anything. I think they're supposed to be stiff, but you're right. He is kind of stiff, but I think he works. That's Shadow for me.
Yeah, well, John Wick. He's not Point Break Keanu. So if it ain't broke, I guess.
Look, Keanu is like a spice. There's good uses for it and there's bad uses for it. Like, I love me some garlic. That does not mean you put garlic on everything. I love me some Keanu.
Oh.
I mean, I'll put some Keanu and some brownies, if you know what I mean. But there's good uses and bad uses for Keanu Reeves. I adore the man, but that's just how it is. Like, I love Speed. I'll never say a bad word about Speed. He's incredible in that movie. A friend of mine tried to talk me one time that he was bad in that movie. Oh, well, that's another subject, sir. It's supposed to be a PG show. What are you doing? No, I had a friend legitimately trying to argue to me the other day that Speed was bad, and I'm like, are you crazy?
That happened with Point Break, though. People, like, I remember when I was in film school, like it
Mhm.
was starting to be okay to like Point Break again, but people are still ridiculed, and it was like, I don't know, Fast and the
Right?
Furious is that, and
People have kind
people
of ridiculed him for everything, though. Like even back
fair
in
enough.
like the Matrix days, it was like the whoa, like like he always kind of got crap, but
Mhm.
somehow it works. And
Mhm.
I gotta say, I want to see him do way more humor. I forget
Yeah.
that
Oh,
one show
totally.
that he
Yeah.
basically had like the one killer scene in where the Keanu at the restaurant thing. You probably remember it from a couple years ago, but that thing was awesome. I want to see him do a lot more. But as Sean kind of points out, he did kind of some comedy in the past where he did a great accent in Dracula. I don't know if
Oh,
you remember that one.
he had a superb accent in that movie.
Always be my maybe. I
Always Be-
forget the name of that every single time. But yeah, that show, it's kind of an okay show, but that whole section with him is just amazing. It's worth it.
Yeah, wasn't that in Dracula? That was with Winona
Winona
Ryder, right?
Ryder,
Aren't they technically
Gary
married
Oldman.
now?
Like, let's say it again.
Don't they have a kid together? Aren't they technically married? Keanu
Keanu
and
Reeves and
Winona
Winona Ryder. Wait, what? Really?
I mean, congrats if
Technically,
they are.
Good for both of them, honestly.
they might have a child
Yeah.
together. I don't want to start rumors because
Hold on, I'm looking
you
it
know how
up.
quickly it gets back to us that we're spreading nonsense. I'm pretty sure Winona Ryder has a child and Keanu is the father. If not, I'm just giving you my headcanon.
I
Well,
mean,
according to
based.
Quora, Keanu Reeves has never been married and has never had a romantic relationship with Winona Ryder.
Okay.
And according to a Google AI, it's not correct, but I don't 100% trust Quora or Google AI.
Yeah,
so
trust a
it's
person just
possible.
talking out of their medication-riddled brain.
Awesome,
Not
like
medication.
kid. I'm pretty sure, based on what we've seen with kind of the next generation of kind of these super celebs, where two of them get together and then produce an even more celeb.
Ooh.
I think that one would take everything by storm.
Is Winona Ryder
Ryder,
not a
right?
mother?
I
I could
believe
be
so.
confusing it so hard right now.
I want to know who you're confusing her with. This is an amazing conversation.
It's all bullshit though.
Also,
yeah, I don't know where I got it from because I remember thinking, oh wow, really? Okay. And it all came from a Dracula reference. Thanks, guys.
yeah, who else
I'm
is in
wrong.
that Dracula movie? So Gary Oldman's Dracula. There's another
Everybody.
yeah, there's a couple of people in that movie, right? That cast is incredible.
hmm
Yeah, I mean that was when Coppola was killing it, man.
That's right. Ooh. Yeah. So yeah. Talking
ahead.
about big flops of the year. Do we how big of a flop do we
Oh,
consider
totally, Hopkins.
Megalopolis? Oh, Hopkins. Oh, right. Oh, that's embarrassing.
For me, it's. I mean, spoilers. It's on my top 10 of the worst of the year. It sucks. The dude has spent so much time on it, but man, it is not successful in any sense of the word that I can think of.
But it's all out of his own pocket. So does it matter if it made it back or not? The studios don't care.
I mean, there's another one that's very similar to that. The Horizon and American Saga Chapter 1. That's not on my bottom list. Like, I understand everything that happens there. I wish it was presented differently, but man, with Megalopolis, maybe it's me. I've seen it twice now. I still don't think I quite understand it.
I'm amazed you saw it a second time. That's incredible, sir.
It was tough.
Yeah, it's something that I would normally champion because it's a big time director putting their money into their own passion project, and this is something that I would like to discuss further. And here are the top 10 original films that were released in 2024. So the list is going to be a little funky.
Funk me up.
The top grossing, I think this is domestic too. No, wait, it's worldwide. Go ahead.
I'm gonna be the consummate wet blanket here and say I see what you're saying here, but I don't think If really is a original story. Like, it really rips off this cartoon from just a few years ago. Now I'm forgetting the exact thing on it, but it literally is the exact same concept, and it even has a character with the exact same name as the main character. Almost everything about it seems like it's a borrowed concept. I don't think Krasinski knew about it at the time when he kind of developed this.
He has been accused of similar tactics in the past. So, all right, if with an asterisk is number one out of the top 10 original with an asterisk.
The Beekeeper is kind of John Wick, but with Statham, and it's
You
about
can
bees.
say that about everything.
Fair
Look,
enough.
Civil War is just history, but like retold in the future. Like,
You
Fair
know,
enough.
Challengers is just Cruel Intentions, what with tennis. So yeah, we're gonna take that one off too.
also missed opportunity because Tennis Intentions that would have sold some tickets. Let's be honest here.
Okay, so the list. Let me for those who are listening to
Yeah,
this
sorry,
while
I'll
you're
stop wet
driving to work.
blanketing. Please, sir.
The top 10 arguably original films of the year. If The Beekeeper, Civil War, Longlegs, Challengers, Trap, The Substance, Blink Twice, Imaginary, and The Heretic.
Imaginary.
Something that is kind of a theme here. There is
Or
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of these 10. Excuse me, 6 out of these 10 movies are thriller/horror movies. And going back to Jason Blum again, you know, you don't have to spend $200 million for something that works. I'm sure some of these lost money too, but
if actually it had a budget of 110 million, so that 190 isn't quite doing as much as you'd want it to do, but that's still cool that an original-ish adjacent movie made 190.
There's the other thing that, like, when you saw this list, Lindsay, you brought up, and I agree with you completely. Go ahead and bring up the thing that's not on this list, but is it, you know,
when I gave this list of really lazy Lindsay glance earlier, I was like, oh, why isn't Terrifier 3 on this list? Because it's called Terrifier 3. Lindsay, there's a 3 in the title.
But the thing that should be celebrated about the movie is it made 45 times its budget back, and it's a non-rated film. So maybe, again,
I always forget that it's non-rated. When was the last time a non-rated movie made that much money? That's incredible.
It hasn't happened.
Wait, ever? That's wild.
It's the highest grossing non-rated film. Maybe it's the highest grossing non-rated horror movie. I wasn't ready for these stats.
I apologize.
No, it's I should have them, and I don't. Alex says this is a list of bangers and Trap.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm that one guy that kind of defends Trap, but yeah, Trap kind of feels like the odd man out on that list.
Well, you know, credit to M. Night, who just flipped the bill and said, "Here, I'll make my weird, quirky, stare directly into the camera horror movie, thriller."
Wait, M. Night Shyamalan making a quirky movie? No, never, not once in the history. Go ahead, Graham. I'm sorry.
I think we got one that is very similar in a way, like so it's definitely more into the horror, but man, it feels like there's so many similar notes with Smile 2 and kind of what they're trying to do with a lot of that, but man, it seems so much more successful. Like I don't know what it is. That just doesn't feel like a real concert to me. That doesn't feel like a real performance in Trap, which this whole thing kind of hinges on. And then you need to actually have that, like, you know, singer be believable, especially with kind of the way that the film turns out. So I don't know. It feels less successful than others, but that's a number 2. This is the first. It is original Trap. Yeah.
It feels like, why is there
more than once? So sorry.
No. I've seen it twice. I don't know about Gray. Have you seen Trap more than once?
Yes.
So
the second time wasn't in one viewing; it was a couple viewings. But yes, I've seen it in its entirety twice.
That's fair. I thought she was a good singer, and I remember at the time thinking the music wasn't that bad, but I have also only seen the movie once. So, like, when you really when you go back and you watch it a second time, like, does the songs not hold up, or is she actually not? Is she not a good singer? Did I like gaslight myself into thinking she was a good singer?
It's not that she's not a good singer, just like when you see like the production that they put into everything, like in Smile, like that feels like an actual concert. Like it feels like an actual pop singer's performance. Kind of watching M. Night, it's kind of like, hey, I want my kid to be on stage in front of these extras. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a real concert to me. And that's kind of one of the problems with another one where they got a famous there's a cameo, and the cameo is at a concert in a certain Christmas film, and it just didn't feel real. That's the one.
Oh.
That did not feel real to me.
Well, Y2K had a hell of a musical performance in it too. We can get into,
and that felt real. Come on, all the people yelling, throwing stuff. That felt real.
Also, Alex, I completely agree. Oh, sorry, Alex. Smile 2 made Trap look 5 times worse. The music has so much more care put into it, dude. If you listen to the things that the shorts that I make off of this show, I can't stop using I Need a New Brain. So I 100% agree. The music in Smile 2 is incredible.
Mood. Yeah, the thing that kind of puzzles me is the amount of people, again, the glorious internet and the discussions that happen on the internet. And if this is the only thing that was a problem, then we don't really have problems. But people saying things like, yeah, it's supposed to be corny like that. That's what makes it good. I don't know if that's fair or accurate, because if that's the case, then it's not a good movie. Like, if you're acknowledging that it's supposed to be dumb and not good, then it's not good. All right, you achieved your goal in making something unbelievable and stupid. So don't give me this Tommy Wiseau shit. Like, oh, it's a comedy. No, it's not. But he does write weird dialogue. Like, this has been a thing for a while now. Like, 10 years ago when it's not The Visit. What is it called? Was it called The Visit with the old people?
The grandma one? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, was it the white kid who's like rapping the entire time?
Yeah, we were in a press screening and M. Night was there.
Okay.
And the crowd was like rolling, and me and Tim were like, what is this? So like, maybe there's like this subculture that's like, oh, M. Night, comedic genius. Like, oh, I can't wait to go see that new comedy by M. Night. But I'm not in on the joke.
Well, I do think
but there were some really haunting shots in that, like the entire time that he's talking to like the concession stand guy or the merch guy, that whole piece. Like, I want a movie like that, but instead it just feels so out of place in just
a t-shirt guy.
Yeah, that whole segment feels like it's like a dream or something. Like it doesn't feel like the rest of the film.
Are you fucking around? Because
I am not. That to me is the only part of Trap that was like interesting. The rest of it was like, okay.
When they're looking to camera, both of them, and
and it's just like crazy. It feels very much like a dream.
It's so uncomfortable.
You want to know a secret? While we're trying to protect 18,000 people, I just met you 5 seconds ago.
I also love how when he's just like, you know the killer, the butcher, the guy was out there like chopping people up, and he's just like doing that like right into the camera. So when I was with my mom 2 months ago, we rewatched Signs, because that was a big part of my childhood. My whole family really loved that movie, and it still holds up. Like, it's funny, it's oddly paced, like a lot of his stuff is, but I think like something about what he was doing back then worked. Maybe it was the people he was working with, although I don't want to shit on Josh Hartnett because he was awesome in this movie.
Mean, not everything he does works. Like, anytime he does a cameo, it's horrible. That is one of the most egregious ones.
I think his gimmick is
not
old.
the most.
It's
True.
just same old shit. Like, okay, what's the reveal going to be? And like, he kind of had a bit of a one-trick pony element to his things, where I don't know. It seemed like he got scarred with Lady in the Water. Or no, he got scarred before that, because his thing about critics and Lady in the Water was just, what was before Lady in the Water that like he had this,
Wasn't it The
issue
Village?
It was The Village.
It The Village?
It was The Village.
I think
wow.
so.
The Village caused him to write a critic character that was all butthurt. He made, by all means.
I read the book on the creation. Oh, not the creation, the production of Lady in the Water, The Man Who Heard Voices, or how M. Night Shyamalan gambled his entire career on a fairy tale and lost. It's a fascinating read. It's kind of hard to find, but it's also
Guy still has a career, for the record.
Oh, no, 100%. But M. Night signed off on this book. He agrees with everything that's in it. And so going into Lady in the Water, his first 4 movies, Signs, Unbreakable, Sixth Sense, and The Village, were all produced by Disney, and they grossed about $1.6 billion in early 2000s, late 90s money, which
technically
is pretty
Miramax.
impressive. Well, but I mean, it was a subsidiary of Disney, and
Buena Vista Television.
So so you're absolutely right. So he had two movies that are utter classics: Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, Signs, which a lot of people really like, and then The Village, that some people are just kind of lukewarm on. And then he goes and writes that character of the movie critic that's overly critical and the only person to die in a horror movie. And it's actually worse than this, because Disney, when they got the first script, they were like, "We have questions," and M. Night went to them saying, "We have questions. Okay, I'm not working with you guys anymore. I'm not exaggerating that." And then Disney actually came back and said, "Okay, we take it back. Prove us wrong."
And he said, "Hold on, here's the happening."
No. Disney said, "We'll write you the blank check. Prove us wrong." And he still walked away because Knight cannot handle criticism. And that's where that critic in Lady in the Water came from. He cannot handle the mildest of pushbacks.
Dude, he followed Lady in the Water with The Happening with Avatar. Oh, yeah. Like, how does he still have a career?
Because people like watching him fail.
I mean, he's spending his own money. So, like, I mean, again, thumbs up
was
for that.
What was it?
Split, it was okay.
Well, Split's good. Yeah, Split's good.
It did a lot for him. There was a steady decline, and that got us way back up here.
How do you feel about Split if you take the last 5 minutes away?
I still like it. I don't know, because I absolutely hate Glass.
Glass is atrocious. I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I still like Split, and it leads into Glass. So I don't know.
I think Split.
I think it does a lot of good lifting for his career.
It does, but it's really carried by McAvoy. If you want to take the last 5 minutes out of that movie, works or not, I think it does. But if you recast McAvoy, it might not work anymore, because he really goes all out in that movie. And also young Anya Taylor-Joy, like her second or third movie, I think. I thought she was quite good in it. The other two girls that got kidnapped in that movie are kind of painful and hard to watch and not very good actresses. But Anya, man, like, even back then, I could tell she was going to be something good.
Apologies.
Oh,
Troy, $5 super chat. Thank you. Trap is a full movie of Farley in Wayne's World. For a limo driver, he sure has a lot of info, doesn't he? Plot conveniences make it happen from there on. Yeah, there's some stuff in Trap where, like, if you want, like, somebody else, I forgot who said it in the chat, but if you want a more engaging, believable time, just watch Smile 2. It was a weird year for concerts in movies, because there was a lot. There was like
Smile 2, Trap. What was the third one? I know there was a third one.
Dear Santa.
Dear Santa. That's right.
There's a movie I refused to watch. Y2K. It's a concert of sorts.
Yeah, I was not ready for that to happen to Y2K, but I did laugh my ass off. It went on for a little while, but it was funny.
So deviate for a split second here, because Y2K is just it's on digital. Mm-hmm. Apologies for those of you who are looking for a flow, but it's currently on VOD. So a slight rant and rant here.
Yeah.
I think we've all finally seen it now.
Yeah.
It's not performing well, and I think I know why, but Gray?
I got a bunch of ideas why, but I'd be really excited to hear yours, because I guess spoilers, I think I enjoyed it the most out of the three of us. I meant that type of spoiler.
Quick on the fingers.
After I spoiled that stuff earlier, I feel bad.
I think I might be. I can understand why others wouldn't like it, but man, I enjoyed it so much. I watched it a second time. Also to show it to somebody, and to show it to my wife, and she seemed to enjoy it. So I don't know. I think it is for a very niche audience. It is not for everybody. But what do you think? Why do you think it was not or is not hitting with a mass audience right now?
Well, Y2K was 20 years ago. Who cares?
25. It's weird because,
don't say that. Take that 5 out of your whore mouth.
I'm like the target age, because I was in school around that time. Nice. And it just I don't know. It felt like it was leaning so heavily on
enjoy queer stiff kittens. Go ahead.
All right, good. Yeah, enjoy queer. Stiff kitten says, I'm off to see Queer. Wait, what? It's 3:00 in the morning here. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Midnight
I
show. I don't know.
Midnight showing. Good old 3:15 showing of Queer.
It was a double feature.
He didn't show up for the first one. He just showed up for the second part of the double feature.
What was I saying? Y2K, as far as like gimmicks, it was just like, hey, remember this song? Remember this thing? It was cute and all to open the movie like with the old school computer loading
I
and
agree. I love that.
and all that stuff. But there's something that happens to transition from the first act to the second act that, I'm sorry, the only character I actually give a shit about is now gone. And
yeah, that was my wife's literal also explanation of that. I would say give more a chance, open yourself up to liking other characters, because immediately after that, my favorite character was unceremoniously taken out. Good times, I like that type of movie.
I do think the movie did lose something, because that friendship was really, really quite good.
Slightly awkward because there's that piss drink thing where it was just like, that's a friend?
Piss mouth. That it was. Dude, I'm actually kind of disappointed. As I was watching that movie, they said piss mouth so many times. I'm like, that's going to be a catchphrase, but I don't think
you wish
enough people saw the movie for
or at least the writer director wishes. Yeah. And first of all, anybody who thinks Rachel Ziegler's the reason that this is bad, wrong, big time wrong.
The hacking is why this movie's bad.
And you're so wrong, man, because like it's almost a shot-for-shot recreation of Hackers, and then it's also got a lot of Lawnmower Man in there. It is literally like 90s hacking. Like it is that's what all of this movie is. Okay, so if you're trying to kind of recreate and doing a bunch of in-jokes from the 90s and a whole bunch of musical references, who is this for? Like, is it for the people who experienced it? Because this is like a teen movie. So would these people love getting all these references, inside jokes, everything to something before them, again, that seems old to them from 25 years ago?
It feels like a weird cover band to movies that are probably better from that period. Like, if you think about it, like all of those teenage, like those types of movies that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s, like Varsity Blues, like all that type of American Pie. Yeah, right.
Oh, great movie.
This is like I don't know, some weird cover band version of it, but it's not quite as good. And also it has horror elements. It's just not good enough. And it's got that
horror elements, if we're being honest. I feel like there's a couple of like well, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like there's like one or two scenes of horror stuff, but then the rest of it's kind of just like slapsticky comedy, which I love me some slapstick comedy, and I love slapstick comedy like put with horror. Like Shaun of the Dead is one of my favorite movies of all time. But like the horror, I felt like it at least for me anyway, it only happens so the few times that happened almost felt out of place. Did you guys have that kind of feeling?
If you know Kyle Mooney's comedy, this is a Kyle Mooney movie where it's like that that cringy, uncomfortable element to it, and like that is the only thing that, like, all right, you know what you're getting with the creator. But in my review, I called it Maximum Overdrive meets This Is the End. But if you want that type of quality, watch either of those two instead.
I mean, Maximum Overdrive.
Either of those are like,
just watch Maximum Overdrive if you've never seen it. Go ahead, Gray.
Yeah. Well, it's just not a straight up comedy, though. Like, I don't know. Sadly, I think I am. Well, no. Maximum Overdrive, where it's like, I understand what you're saying, but it's like, it still doesn't tone match. Like, I don't know that there is anything quite like this tone. And I think that's one of the kind of problems. It's, well,
this is the end
sort
is kind of,
but that was contemporary references. That wasn't 25-year-old references. This wasn't like a period piece. Like, it was for the people who are about the age of the actor. Like, it is actually kind of appropriate, where I think this is suffering from a lot of the Pop-Tart movie thing, where it's like, okay, but you're doing a parody of an 80s movie, and then you're throwing in a bunch of references from like 50s characters. It's interesting. I don't know, like, who they think this audience would be for. Like, I don't think the kids today are looking for that type of deal where they don't know any of the references. They don't get the end jokes. They don't know these songs. Like, I heard a lot of the criticism of this being the dialogue is so horrible. Like, when she's hacking, all of a sudden she says, I make this look good. Why would you say that? And it's like, man, you're
That was
not
the one
getting
thing
like a
about
lot of
that.
the references, and that's kind of the problems. Well, it wasn't
But-
just you. Like I heard that, and there's like 3 other ones, but I can't remember what they were. But they were all references that
But
you
that's the
wouldn't
problem.
get.
Like Hackers, sure, it's got something of a cult following, and
Mhm.
Lawnmower Man also has something of a cult following. But if you're not in on that lingo, these moments get lost on you, and
There's a
those
little bit of
aren't
Max
strong-
Headroom in there too, but that's even more obscure of a reference. So that's not going to help its case.
Sure, but, I mean, I don't know. Like again, as someone who was alive during that time, as I could have been a character in that movie, it doesn't work. I'd rather watch something else. Like it's nothing new. While will certainly agree with what you're saying, Gray, about Unfrosted. I think because Kyle Mooney is my age, I think like this is a movie that he wanted to make, but who is it for other than Kyle Mooney?
Well, that's the thing. Do you think people like our age, contemporaries, would be looking to see like a teen house party movie?
No,
I think it's got kind of an audience issue with that. But
sure.
that being said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought a lot of the jokes were funny. I liked the mixture of horror and comedy where they really weren't taking the horror serious at all. Sorry, my dog's freaking out.
No, I
I
feel
love how dorky the robots were. Like they were obviously just kind of like dudes in suits with like random craps on them. There was something about that I really enjoyed, actually. Kind of a Power Rangers throwback.
there's everything is rushed and the tone shifts are a little odd. Like we lose key characters throughout this movie, and it is like, all right, next scene. All the complaints you can make about JJ Star Wars, it's this and then somewhere it's just like, hey, that person we were walking with dead. Let's keep going, and it just never like you don't understand what their motivation or their emotions are because it's just next thing, and the love connection thing or Rachel Ziegler and our lead character, there's no reason to be attracted to her because
Have you seen her?
I mean,
as far as what the movie is presenting,
girl, whatever. No, I can't remember her name. But like, did you see what she did to the school's Roxy Girl 40 something? Did you see what she did to the school's interface? She's amazing.
That's pretty
Come
cool.
on.
yeah, sure, but as far as a romantic relationship or interest, it like would she have 2 characters? One of them was her ex-boyfriend, and like I this is like a nitpick, but why is she the attention of I don't know. I it's frustrating. I've watched like 15 movies in the last 4 days, and that was way back when. But I don't have my notes from it. I'm looking at my Letterboxd review, and it's just like, fuck this, 1 star.
Wow,
So,
1 star. Okay.
That's harsh. I don't know about that.
Oh, dude, I'm at the drastic point of the year where it's like 4, 1, 4, 1, Gladiator 2, 4.
Yeah, well, so you liked Gladiator 2,
I
not to get
did.
away from Y2K, but
I
that's a
did
hell of
because
a statement.
I expected dog shit, and I was like, this is fun. Sharks, yay!
Okay.
Fun though, because like everything
it's
that
not
makes
fun.
that. I mean,
I'm sorry.
everything that makes that
Focus.
first one good, it just it takes the rug out from under.
We
it.
can
But okay.
we could swing back around, but Lindsay, finish out
Sorry.
on Y2K. It's my fault.
No, you're good. It's not what's sad is like the comparison I keep wanting to kind of make it to is Funny People, where it's like the advertisements made it look so much more funny than it actually is, and then you watch the movie and it's like a little
saw
more
ads?
serious. Oh no! When you watch the trailers for Funny People back in the day, like it seemed like it was gonna be this like it's really big comedy, and then it's much more serious. And I kind of feel like this is kind of like that, but I also feel like this is funnier. And there's so many good little character moments. Like I love them walking through the woods singing. I
Closing
did in
time.
Yeah, who doesn't love Closing Time?
Such a
The
hack thing to
cameo
do.
is I'm just
cameo.
saying, like it's kind of hack, but there's like I can think of like 6 films that have brought in a musician as kind of a cameo this year. I gotta say, this is my favorite one, I think.
Oh wow, okay. That's pretty cool.
Sure.
And I love the soundtrack. You know, like it was much. It was like I was listening to my childhood again. Maybe I'm just a sucker for it.
Just get
And there's
now. That's what I call music 1999. Like
Yeah, you
really.
could, and that's the fun part. Like there are very there's a wide variety of jokes that are based off of the music that's being played. Man, they did a lot to go into the soundtrack for this one. But again, it kind of makes me wonder who is the audience for this, because again, teen house party movie. I guess it's a horror comedy, so that opens it a little bit, but man, it's just an event, and it's all the references from 25 years ago. I don't know who they think this audience is the problem.
I wonder if on paper, like, it just sounded like the best idea in the world, like a throwback horror comedy about a bunch of kids throwing a house party on New Year's Eve 2000, but then like like not everything, it doesn't always translate from paper to screen perfectly well. Again, I do like, and I like this movie, and I'm willing to defend it, but like it's I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Charles has a thing to say.
I heard what you were saying, but I had to leave for a second. Ray, what you were saying about, and I don't know what the follow through was that on that. Excuse me, what the follow through on that was, but the material that was written for the music, I feel like it leans too hard on it. And who right now is like, you know what, we need a movie that references songs from 25 years ago.
Yeah,
a better version.
A huge issue, because so I think it would be kind of contemporaries of ours. Which wouldn't they be more likely to be looking for movies for their kids? Would their kids love those references or anything like that? I don't think so, and I think that's a huge problem. I
think you can get people to feel like they're in that period without leaning so heavily on pop culture. The first thing that comes to my mind is Dazed and Confused. That movie feels very mid 70s, but like without saying, hey, this is a song on the radio. And I mean, of course there's music and things that like are quintessentially that time period, but it's like they don't like take the camera and shove you into the way and say, look, this is what we're doing right now. Isn't this great? Granted,
for sure. But I think there's shorthand, man. You get to know exactly who these stereotypes are based off of songs. It's great.
Sure. I think there's better ways to do it. And yeah, musical shorthand, sure. But like Back to the Future, it felt 50s. I mean, something as silly as Reagan, the actor, sure.
Fair enough. And there's a great music-related joke there. The whole, it's your cousin, Marvin.
Marvin Berry. I feel like it in different hands, it could have been executed stronger. And again, who is this for? Because who is like longing for 25-year-old references?
Yeah, I know I'm definitely, I enjoyed it thoroughly. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not bankrolling like an entire franchise of this. They got 2 tickets from me.
Well, I mean, especially after, like, again, I like the movie, but it did not do very well at the box office. No. If you had hopes for a franchise out of this, you're feeling a little silly now.
And if you're Rachel Zegler's agent, you probably want to tell her to shut her mouth, because if Snow White fails, I don't know who's going to give her a chance.
Nah.
Well, I mean,
she's
Snow White and Snakes and the other Hunger Games one.
Yeah, but she was in West Side Story, and like that's how she has her career. But
again, though, like who's dying to see like the Jets and the Sharks again? Like,
that's my point. Like, you don't know how many free passes you're getting as a leading actor. Maybe don't get into fights with people on the internet. As much as I am not emotional one way or the other, but she has a strong amount of people that are very anti anything she does. And
well, is she really getting into fights with people on the internet, or is she just just making posts and then people get upset?
She says I
could be wrong. I'm not following.
I don't think she's like dipping back into it, but she's definitely bringing a lot of the criticism on.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I disagree with her, but to maintain work in Hollywood, studios will not put up with that. Like it's something of a risk to put someone who's outspoken like that, especially when it's not like it's Tom Cruise, who's kind of thought of as a weirdo, but man, his movies make money. nothing about her career so far says, "Oh yeah, this is a bankable star." And I don't even know how she's gotten to this point. To be honest with you,
Well, let's
Yeah.
what does she have on her IMDb page? Let's take a look.
she was nominated for a Golden Globe after um, the Jets remake,
The West Side Story.
West Side Story.
Oh, this doesn't
Oh.
bode well for her, but she was also in Shazam 2.
Phew.
Based.
Oh, so good. We have two people from the other sides of the political spectrum between Zach Levi and Ms.
Yeah.
Ziegler.
Oh God, I wonder what being on set was like for that.
Well, they're both arguing that the movie did poorly because of their respective audiences. Meanwhile, the movie just sucked.
Yeah,
Hey.
I tried watching it actually, and I kind of got bored 20 minutes in and just kind of turned it off. I don't know.
Yeah, and like this is another, like Alex says, she's become the lightning rod with anti-woke grift. She's this season's Brie Larson is like what it comes down to.
Right.
It feels like
And-
it's very much that same thing.
Warranted
and-
or
and
not, it's
How many
it's
times
just,
have we put our foot in our mouth like in this show? Imagine 8 hours of just like constant. I'm just saying, like I know I would do much worse, and I'm sure I've said something very.
Oh, sure.
Oh, for the record, I would love like for like every frame a pause or whatever to do like an 18-hour like live stream on some video of mine that I did. No, I would adore that. I would watch every second of it. There's not enough popcorn. I don't. Oh.
Give it to him, not me.
Oh, okay. Oh. I thought you were like.
I am not
indicating
saying
something.
that for the record.
No, I no, don't do it for this show. Do it for my channel. I would love that, and nothing would make me happier.
Nothing. I guess the point is,
Maybe a few things.
if we were a multi-million-dollar project,
Mhm.
I would get us a publicist that would say, "Shut your mouth about blank," because I don't know. Yeah, we kind of got off track. I'm sorry,
No,
but I don't think this movie's Rachel Zegler's fault.
no,
but
No,
if
not at
Snow
all.
White fails, there's going to be a connection with the big studios, and it's going to be
She could definitely be seen as poison or whatever. That
Well, actually, what's funny about Snow White is no one really likes Gal Gadot anymore at all, and she's the main villain. So, like, you could argue if it flops that just no one wanted to see Gal. I love Gal. I guess I don't love
She's
Gal. I'm okay.
one
with
of the
Gal.
better parts of that Flash movie. That's all I'm saying.
That is true.
there's Dinklage, who hates things that happen with, like, this movie is just cancer. Like,
This movie's
just
cursed.
scrap it. Just
Yeah.
scrap it.
It-
Batwoman, this shit. Just get rid of it, man. What the?
You know, I guess at this point, maybe they're hoping that like there's so much online discourse about it, like that it's just it's free advertising. Everyone knows that there's
Sure.
a big Snow White movie coming. Everyone is aware of it. Everyone is hearing about it being discussed to one extent or another, whether that's positive discussion or negative discussion. You know, it's going to be a case by case basis, but there's a lot of eyes on it. You know,
There was on Morbin too. I don't think Morbius.
True. Oh my god,
Yeah,
this makes less than Morbius. That'd be, that'd be
Dude,
amazing.
who wants it? Like, genuinely, it if you animated it, maybe. If you like computer animated it, maybe. But why are they still doing this?
Well, here's a question too. So it cost $209 million to make. Do we think that includes like? Did they have to do reshoots for the dwarves? Do they have any
Yeah.
of that already in process? Does that include that?
So from what I understand, it was extensive reshooting on top of they've kind of reskinned them a few times. But
A few times.
I have no idea if that includes all of it. I would be very surprised if it does, because I thought it was kind
feels
of a
low.
high budget before. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But again, is it just because the older film, like so when is the original Snow White? Are we getting up to 100 on there now? Isn't it
Close.
It's about there. And this is also a question that I really want to ask. Like, because it seems like this Rachel Ziegler stuff, the casting and all bloody blue. Who cares about Snow White? Like, I apologize, but like, is there really that big of an audience out there for the original Snow White? Like,
More
is there
important
that
question.
Much? Yeah.
What would be more surprising, that the movie just does all right, or the film itself is great and something that you would say, oh my God, you need to see Snow White? Which one of those is more surprising to you?
The latter would definitely be more surprising, that it's great, but they've taken a few chances. Like Aladdin was done by Guy Ritchie. There was some weird Guy Ritchie-isms in there.
Few.
There's some talks of someone very interesting doing Tangled, the live action of that. I don't know. That could be interesting. Based off of what I just saw him do, I'm interested in seeing what they could do with that because, that dude knows how to keep things interesting. So I don't know. But they're restricted with Disney. You know, it's kind of these mouse-like handcuffs or whatever. Like you're still within their confines, but there was still a Guy Ritchie-ness to Aladdin that was kind of interesting at times.
I didn't hate Aladdin. I really didn't. Which, speaking of Smile too,
Yeah, there you go.
I think Disney, they still have fuck it didn't hurt money, but I think that it's starting to get a little thin on the wick there. Like, yeah, they still have 3 of the top 4 top performers in 2024, but I think the sentiment is kind of like, yeah, unless you're doing some cartoon kids movie, I don't care. Which is odd saying that with both Inside Out 2 and Deadpool Wolverine being the only billion-dollar properties this year.
Yeah, that is a little wild.
But there's this other thing that I think it's becoming more and more a thing. If you're not going to the theater with your family to watch some family animated movie, you're going to the theater to watch something that got re-released. Because we saw that more than a handful of times this year where some random 15-year-old movie got re-released and like on 1,000 screens cracked the top 10.
Coraline killed it. Interstellar killed it.
Yes.
But it was the 25-year anniversary of Shaun of the Dead. I would have thought that would be
20.
Oh, that's excuse me, 20-year anniversary of Shaun of the Dead. I would have thought that would be something big, and it kind of fizzled. There was nothing huge in it.
But like that's also like they're not doing original stuff, and people aren't going to these things. They are going to Coraline again, Interstellar again. I'll happily go watch that as opposed to anything Sony's putting on the screen. So I think for the sake of the theater industry, new stuff is you're not going to the theater to watch it, which is horrifying because theaters are becoming arcades where you go there like maybe once or twice a year. And I don't think movies are a thing that people do 2 or 3 times a month anymore. And that's, I don't know. I wouldn't invest in theaters right now. Sony.
Well, yeah, they're getting zip lines. Like, of course you need to, and pickleball courts. Like, what's not to invest in with the theater at the moment?
Yeah, I don't think of, a bowling alley / movie theater as, I don't know. I'm too romantic about the film going process. Just me and my uncle, excuse me. But it's really unfortunate to see that people, again, if you're making family films, everything's fine. And if you're re-releasing something that's, I got to see Ghostbusters. They like redid it. It might have been around 2016, but they redid it and it was in 4K and, just to see it on the big screen, it was neat. But
yeah, that'd be awesome.
How often can you do that? Where you just, here's something old because no one's doing anything worth time that's new.
So would you have ever had like a Coraline on your re-release card that one's going to do the gangbusters that it did?
And it stuck around too.
It did. I mean, like, I like it. There's a nostalgia that I have towards it. It definitely has stuck with me, the imagery, but man, I just never would have anticipated that would be, that it would make the top 10, let alone stay there for, what was it, like almost a month?
Yeah. I think there's something to it. You need to have like this FOMO. You need to have this FOMO element to going to the movies. Like the fact that, they're re-releasing this and then they're talking away that Disney putting it in the vault element of, I didn't get to see this on the big screen when I was a kid. Let me go watch that now. They're not treating anything new like that. Like, guys, you need to see this on the big screen, despite whatever they say, only in theaters on blank, blank, blank. And then in your home 17 days later. I think films, or at least good films, need to be that, oh, you have to see this in the theater. And I don't think that's coming across very much with, I don't know, anything. Name me a movie this year that you're like, you need to see that in the theater.
Dune.
So yeah, Dune 2 was huge, and then not only do you need to see it in the theater, but you got to go IMAX with it, man. Like, you don't understand, this was shot in IMAX, so your periffs are exactly what they're supposed to see. I don't know. There's a couple of them, like Civil War was really cool, seeing it in an IMAX thing too. There were some really interesting ones that it definitely added to it, but man, having like an 80-inch screen at home, you know, is it that much better than kind of the regular megaplex? Like, I don't know. And does every film need to be seen on IMAX? Like, obviously no, but there are certain ones that it adds to it so much. And then same with the sound design. There are certain ones that I have gone back to see them in IMAX, because just, man, that's amazing. But I couldn't tell you the last time I went to see like a 3D one. Like, I don't care.
I accidentally buy tickets for 3D movies all the time these days. It pisses me off. That's how I saw Mufasa. Just like, what's starting on? Well, I just like click the nearest showtime, and then I get there and they're like, oh, your glasses, and I'm just like, fuck. But I think my IMAX thing this year was I saw Furiosa on a regular screen, and then I went back and saw it on the IMAX screen, and I mean, it's good either way, man. But that IMAX screen hits something else. And also, I've been wanting to watch Civil War at home, because I remember when I saw it in theaters, I had never heard gunshots like that. There was something about the way that they mixed the audio in that every gunshot felt like it was like happening inside my body. It was such a
Greg,
visceral experience.
Can you explain that, Greg? Why, like, you know, dialogue sounds one way, but it feels like the gunshots are like the peaks and valleys are just.
So yeah, a lot of it is kind of the mixing, and they do have like a separate mixing on some of them for IMAX. It just does have different audio, like in the way that they present it in the theater. But man, they use a lot more bass. Like, you just feel it. Like, it really kind of it moves your whole body. It's not what they call 4D, but you know, it's getting there.
Yeah, I do remember the gunshots being like in the room. I don't know how to explain it, but
he's definitely intentionally doing that. They are drawing so much more attention to that. Like, it's not an action movie. You know, you're not meant to hear that numerous times and be comfortable with it. So there's things like that just super enhanced when you're in like a theater. And then, man, getting that the visuals in your peripherals, it just I love IMAX when it's actually meant for it.
Yeah. I will be watching Dune tomorrow, and I do miss not having my sound system, because I would argue, you know, saying, 6 times out of 10 that a home theater is okay. But I'll tell you how I feel, because Dano said it in the chat. Alien Romulus, I agree. Alien Romulus, I just watched that last night actually, and really, really enjoyed that movie again. And if you hate it, I'm sorry that
I hate you.
Yeah, I'm sorry it didn't work for you, but man, more of this for me, please. I loved Alien Romulus, like really loved it.
Yeah, I've been actually wanting to watch it again.
Can I ask? So you're gonna watch Dune 2. Is there something that kind of is keeping you from watching it? I just mean, it was released in what, like January or February?
There's like 30 movies that like, it's just end of year, do your homework, get all these movies done. I've watched 10 movies in like the last 3 or 4 days. It's one of the things that like
I've been doing the same thing. Hey, awesome.
Late year homework.
Yeah, it's like no, I can go to the next 10 in my list.
Yeah, I think part of it is like Gladiator 2. I expected that to be an absolute shit show, and I think it helped that I was like, oh, this didn't suck that much. It was kind of camp, but I enjoyed it. Like Denzel is kind of campy in that movie.
He's something else.
To do like a spoiler talk on that or something, because I have just so much the opposite opinion than you. Like, I thought I set my well, I mean, we don't have to do it this second, but like I set my sights so low on that one, and just, man, it just let me down so hard. But fair enough.
When we do our year in review on the other side of the calendar, we can get into
appearance on mine. So I could get it.
But yeah, due to like expectations like that,
Dune 2,
right? Dune, I have it like as this same thing with Furiosa, which I haven't watched yet. but it's not in the conversation anymore. So I'm like, okay, it's just one
You're
of the
in for a
movies.
treat with both of those.
I hope so.
Can I ask you, did you like the first Dune?
The original from the 80s.
I didn't. Wait, the original?
No. The Denis Villeneuve.
I didn't hate
Dune.
it.
Okay. I really did not like it. The pacing just didn't seem there. It didn't seem to have great characterization. This seems like a huge step up to me. So I'd be interested in your take on this.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Dune 2.
sound dumb, but yeah, it didn't keep my attention at points. But I have heard that Dune 2 is like so much more things happening in it rather than one. But I will watch it. I promise. I own it, but I keep my expectations low. But yeah, it's
I don't
weird.
think anyone could set your expectations too high on that one, man. It's got an amazing soundtrack and just the entire, like, you're in for an experience for all of your senses. It's great.
And who saw Reagan?
I have
I
not.
did.
You did. What did you say about it? Because I remember not thinking, like, I wasn't expecting anything, and oh boy,
It's
Go
a
ahead,
real
Greg.
mixed bag because, like,
Yeah.
I like Dennis Quaid's performance in there. Like, he just melts into that character. But man, to have the whole story told from John Voight doing a Russian accent,
The Russian.
Excuse
who's,
me?
like, giving his biography of how great Reagan is. It comes off a little strange to me. Not every
Lindsay.
performance is on par with Dennis Quaid, so I'll put it that way.
Lindsay, it is a biography as told from a Russian spy who was following Reagan from his days as head of the SAG. Dude, it is weird. It is weird.
Are you both like on mushrooms right now, having a joint hallucination? There's
I
no
told
way this
you-
is true.
What if I told you Scott Stapp is in the movie singing swing songs?
Who?
Scott Stapp of Creed? How dare you?
Come
Oh,
on, man.
oh.
How dare you?
I mean,
Wow.
I've never really.
He should have been in
much of a
Y2K too.
fan. Alright.
But it is like it is for Reagan as God's Not Dead is for religion. I don't know. It's very. This is a thing because we're telling you it's a thing. We're not going to show you.
I
We're
don't
just
know.
going to tell
Like,
you.
if you took the narration out of it and you just saw these like scenes where it's just Dennis Quaid like acting it out, like, man, that doesn't seem like a horrible flick. Like, it's kind of a super mixed bag, but I get the comparison when you're adding in these other elements to complete this story.
The movie starts in 1981, and the attempt on his person as like the kicking off point. And I don't know if I'm a Reagan fan, I don't know if that's where I would start.
Well, you start with Reaganomics, which definitely did fail horribly and destroy the country.
Their narrative, viewpoint and structure just do not make sense to me. Like, just make a straight just make a normal biography. Like, what is this?
I don't want to put it on the same tier as like The Apprentice, but I kind of have similar issues with it. Like, I really like the performance, but
Okay.
and it's a weird narrative. Like, it is nowhere near The Apprentice. They take that way more seriously, and it's more
Mhm.
what you'd expect from a biopic rather than kind of this. I don't know exactly what you call it. The audience, the chat has called it kind of a fluff piece, and I don't disagree. It is way more of a fluff piece than, like, say, The Apprentice as far as a biopic.
The difference between The Apprentice and Reagan is like, oh man, isn't this guy the best? And here's the moments in his life where he did so many cool things because we're telling you, not because you're going to see that character do that. Whereas The Apprentice is like, did he do some messed up things? Depends on what you think.
For sure. My only comparison is like, I think it's a really good performance in kind of a weird way of telling that person's
I won't
story.
argue that. I won't argue that. The material is just so stale. Like, his performance is good, but everything surrounding it, right down to John Voight doing a Russian.
That's just fucking
just
wild. I can't even.
weird.
Wait, wasn't John Voight in Megalopolis too? Wait,
Was he?
who
He's
was
had
he
quite a
in that?
year. Yeah.
Was he the check out my boner guy, or was that someone else?
What?
That sounds familiar, but I am kind of mashing a bunch of those characters together.
Do me a favor and hold that up so I can see your cock.
Well, here we should
I
say
believe
this.
that was Voight, though.
There is a moment in Megalopolis where it might be Voight, it might not. Is hiding a loaded crossbow under a blanket, and right before he kills someone with the crossbow, it's just like, "Hey, check out my boner!" And then he throws the blanket back, and we see the crossbow, and then he shoots someone.
John Voight is the
Yeah.
person who
He
says
does
that
play-
line.
Well, he does play Hamilton Crassus III. If that is the character that is concealing the bow, then yes.
I could be wrong. Yeah, that's true. I don't want to besmirch John Voight's character and make maybe it was a different actor that did it, but I'm pretty sure that was John Voight.
Awful.
It sounds right to me. I have tried to block most of that from my mind. Originally, I was gonna try and make some sort of criticism of Megalopolis, and I can't do it. It's truly not for me, and I don't understand. But it's awesome that somebody made a passion project. But sorry, we went all over the place. We were talking about Reagan and Charles's favorite film of the year.
No, I didn't expect it to be much, but it's
That
bad.
was less.
It's bad.
After
expected
watching
zero,
the
you got
performance, though,
-3.
I can see why Dennis. So it's a real passion project for him. I guess he'd been pushing for this for years. I can see why he is. He really did kind of
So
embody
he's
that
willing
character.
it, and yeah, sure. If it's him that's willing it, it's like Sydney Sweeney in Immaculate. I think he was an executive producer on this too. It's one thing if a person who's not completely responsible for the way that the story is told is trying to do their best, but I don't want you to give me there are times where they some of the shots are just stuff you could buy for $5 on I don't know, insert licensed free.
Wait, is it stock footage? Please tell me it's stock
It
footage.
feels like it. If it isn't, it feels like it.
Okay.
And
That's,
again, it's just this guy is great, and here are we're going to tell you that he's great. We're not going to show you that he's great. We're not going to give you reasons to get behind this character. We're just going to, and also to do it from the Russian perspective,
For sure. There's a lot less show, more tell in this one.
yeah.
I do want to apologize to the audience. I'm not trying to compare this to The Apprentice at all. The only thing is, I don't think it's a great narrative or a great way of telling, I don't know, somebody's entire life in that movie, but I really love the performance. That's the only thing that I'm comparing to this.
Yeah. And yeah, I would say that The Apprentice at least gives you some form of ambiguity to be like, ooh, is that why he made that decision? Because he's got this person that he kind of looks up to and emulates some of that person's way of doing things. Whereas Reagan, they are telling you that Ronald Reagan is awesome, and that's really it. They're not showing you, they're not leaving you to come to your own conclusion. It's just happening.
One of those.
His first wife, who's Mina Suvari, is a terrible piece of crap, and they're just going to separate because that's part of the story now. Next.
Wait,
True.
Mina Savari, I haven't seen her in anything in a minute. That's
Dude, all of the people
do
that
yourself
should
a
have been
favor.
all of the people that should have been in Y2K were busy making Reagan.
Okay. That's a hell of a statement. I love it. Yeah.
I don't really. I'm indifferent on the person too, by the way. But two disappointing political figure movies.
Well, so
as far as I'm
great.
concerned.
If you had to recommend one or the other, because you didn't see The Apprentice, right, Charles?
I did.
Oh, so both of you. What would you recommend, Reagan or Apprentice, or neither?
The Apprentice. Reagan is not being nominated for anything this year.
Sebastian Stan does become Trump.
Is he that good? Hell
He
yeah,
is.
okay. I do
He
like
really
him.
is. And his other performance that he's kind of getting talked about for this year is also amazing as well.
Yeah.
What's the other performance?
Different Man. A Different Man. It's kind of a smaller film, but interesting. It's also body horror-ish. But yeah, really fun.
Oh. Good year for body horror, by the way. I watched The Substance the other day. Oh dear Lord, that movie was incredible. And Dennis Quaid again. That's why I've had The Substance on my mind for the last few minutes. Crazy ass year for Dennis Quaid, man. That was one of my favorite performances from him. Actually,
that might get nominated.
I wouldn't be surprised.
There's rumors that Substance might get
hope
nominated for
so.
Best Picture. That'll be
That'd be
wild.
so sick.
I mean, I'm glad it got 5 Globe nominations.
Mhm.
Right.
That's something, right? But yeah, it would be awesome if horror did get something, and I would love it if it's The Substance.
Like, I
Marcy 45 Games Corner Time. What actress/actresses do you like so much that it wouldn't be the same when they pass? Oh, I say Clancy Brown. Oh, you mean
Ooh.
die by pass?
Oh,
Oh,
man,
we're getting
Clancy
close,
Brown's
Giamatti.
gone. Yeah.
I don't think you can
Giamatti.
beat Giamatti. Man, just it will be a sad day if he's no longer around.
I was literally thinking about this earlier today. Ian McKellen, man, that's
Ooh.
gonna hurt, and that's, I don't want to say that's coming up, but I mean,
What?
it's
dude, like I could say anyone involved with Goodfellas, and
yeah.
it's
Fair
a lot
enough.
of them. Director,
Mhm.
some of the stars, and Al Pacino, just for the sake of throwing that in there. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of big heavy hitters that are.
How many
If they're not
original
retiring-
actors from the original Star Trek are still around? We have George Takei, and we have the guy who played Chekhov. Is there? I
mean,
that might be
Shatner?
it. Oh, Shatner. Shatner didn't. No one cares about Shatner anymore.
Yeah.
Well, when the last of the original Star Trek crew is gone, the world is just gonna feel different to me, man. Like in a way
It
I
will be a
won't know how to
different thing.
describe.
This-
Yeah.
This is weird for me to say this, but please understand that I'm not trying to be shallow about my statement. But this is
shallow
why
down.
we need, different tiers of people, not just recasting Harrison Ford
Yes.
as the person every
Yes,
single
yes,
time.
yes,
Because
yes,
once they
yes.
go, we have nothing, and it's just like, oh,
Mhm.
we've been watching this person for 50 years. There's no next step. As much as I love these characters, I love Robert De Niro. I love all these particularly old actors.
Yeah.
We don't have like a B tier, a C tier. It's
And this
we
is
just
what the
keep going back.
substance is about. We need to get
Yeah.
rid of all the old women in Hollywood and replace them with new. I'm not even going to finish that joke. I'm not even going to finish.
Thank you for making me not look like the bad guy in that one. So it kind of got brought up, and this is something that I don't think we didn't. This is kind of a half-baked idea, but
So,
last time we're talking in the calendar year 2024.
Mhm.
And when I was watching my homework, the 10 movies in the last couple of days, I noticed
Nice.
some people that I've seen a couple of times this year. And
Who dat?
we had some actors that have been around in a couple of
Oh.
films in 2024. Just on this image right here, you have Glenn Powell, Kaylee Spenny,
Mhm.
Zendaya, and the aforementioned I'm going to call him Donald Trump, and I Sebastian Stan. I forgot his name. I was going to call him Donald Trump. All of them were in at least 2 different films. You had a director that made 2 things. You had a bunch of, Ridley Scott produced and directed something. So some people had some interesting 2024s. I'm not going to say that this is who I think had the best 2024, but I think in regards to what I was talking about, I think Kaylee Spenny, as far as on the heels of Civil War and Alien Romulus, could
both
be
really good movies.
on the
And
verge.
that's on the heels of now I'm forgetting
Priscilla.
her name, but Priscilla from last year. Just I don't know, that was Coppola's as well. Now I'm forgetting Sofia Coppola's. Man, that's just like one after another with her, and I don't think anyone's giving her any crap. But I'm definitely hearing a lot of rumors of casting for a couple of franchises. That would be awesome. I would love to see her in it, especially after seeing what she can do with aliens.
If you were to ask me to invest in a meme coin, I would be more likely to invest in a Kaylee Spenny meme coin rather than a Rachel Ziegler meme coin.
Also, we are financial advisors. If you have not invested in Hawktua coin yet, please invest in Hawktua.
Here it's low. Jumping while
Okay.
it's low.
So I definitely, so I mean, we could go easy. Like, you have Zendaya on the thing. I mean, she was in Dune Part 2 and Challengers. I guess you could also throw out Chalamet, but I mean, that seems too easy. Also Dune Part 2, and now no one. Now I'm forgetting the name of that one.
Yeah,
But an unknown,
unnoteworthy.
a complete unknown. But he's getting nominated or talks of nomination for both, Globe nominations for both. but this isn't like their year. They've been a thing for, quite a few years now.
That's true.
But did you give any stock into Sydney Sweeney before this year? Or is this the first time that it really hit? Madam Web, I believe that was January, if not February of last year. Didn't really hear anything with that. And then, Immaculate. And then she had that amazing SNL thing where she really kind of leaned into the meme and kind of showed that she understood it. And then was in another thing, Eden. I don't know. I think it's been a big year for Sweeney.
I agree. As far as, being proactive on the back end, producing the Immaculate film, she did Madam Web to make sure Madam Web was the bridge piece, which is wild. So she tortured herself through Madam Web to make sure that Immaculate was done. And, she recognizes sex still sells, and she knows she's not hideous. And you know what? Might as well be a decent business person about it. And, is she the greatest actress? I wouldn't say that, but that doesn't matter.
I want to invest
sometimes.
in her stock. I just saying. Like,
I do.
She's on the rise now.
Indeed.
I think she's a pretty good actress,
I'm on the
honestly,
rise.
too. I would. She's definitely the future. Both her and Glenn Powell. The number of people I hear talking about him,
and they did that movie together last year. The Anywhere, anything but you. R-rated rom-com. What was it called?
Yes.
Somebody else.
It has all those words, but I can't remember that.
It's like a scrabbled. Something else. Anywhere but here.
Yeah. Fair enough. Like, his stock is definitely on the rise. I did not know anything about Glenn Powell before this year, even though I'd seen him in things. And then, Twisters and Hitman. Just, man, everything is just, everyone's talking about him. So I'm pretty sure his stock is hugely on the rise.
Alex brought up Nicholas Hoult. I just watched.
Alex brought up both of mine. Please go to Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult, who did Juror Number 2, Nosferatu. Alex mentioned the Superman trailer, but Alex Hoult was also in The Order, which
I was going to say you're missing two of his really fun ones. The Order, which was just released and is getting talk, but you also missed the Garfield movie. He played John Arbuckle. Come on!
Oh wow!
Oh,
it's been a big year for Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah. Nicholas Hoult plays a hickey racist American in The Order.
A fun haircut.
Yeah, him and Jude Law playing wholesome American people with fun American accents. It's cool. It's like as Cody referenced it, it's The Town with the Klan in it, is how he suggested it to me. I wouldn't go that far, but I would rather watch The Town, Heat, and then I'll put The Order third in that. But that's not really saying much
you've
negative.
Already seen The Town and Heat, so come on, like maybe this can go in the pantheon. I mean, of course, it's going to be the opening act, but I don't know. I enjoyed my time with it, and then that makes me wonder. Would this be a year for Jude Law, especially compared to some of his older ones? Because he is in this. There is talks of some sort of nomination, perhaps, for The Order. But man, Skeleton Crew, he's kind of killing it on that, and I do believe this will possibly branch out. I don't think it's just going to be one off for him here, but maybe I'm wrong.
I can't name you a thing that Jude Law has been in that I didn't like because of him. It's the opposite, were things that I thought were mediocre, but when he was in it, like the Alfie remake, I kind of liked that. And what was that? There was that Repo Genetic Opera, but
just Repo.
Yeah, that He's really enjoyed that movie.
That's a good movie.
Forrest Whitaker was in that too.
Oh yeah,
like that was fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lindsay, you haven't brought anything to the table. Just
yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, Jude Law was extremely good in the Fantastic Beasts movies. Like, those movies are dog shit, but he's a really good Dumbledore. Like, he's just one of those actors.
Oh yeah, he's Dumbledore.
What he's got going on, he's always going to be pretty goddamn good. I think if I had to choose a big winner for 2024, it'd probably be me, because of all the amazing movies that I saw and the friends that I made along the way. Like, Gray, I didn't know who you were 6 months ago. Like, I
don't know who I am now.
I'll tell you who you are after the stream. Don't worry.
I mean, I guess I want to pick. Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
of course Dan Stevens, I could definitely see. He is. It is
Or
one of his
Patrick.
years.
Patrick, just say Patrick.
I love me some Dan Stevens because of that. But yeah, I'm not. I didn't think he was in all of those things. I know he did
he's in
Cuckoo,
Cuckoo
Abigail, and Kong.
Godzilla X Kong. Yeah.
Oh, Margot Qualley. Sorry. Yes, Margot Qualley is doing all kinds of great things.
Dan Stevens was in Margot Qualley?
Yeah, I literally just skipped over her name and was like, I don't think he was in The Substance or Driveway Dolls or Kinds of Kindness. But, Kinds of Kindness, it's getting one nomination, but that's for Plemons, who I'm going to put some money in the Plemons stock. He's in two things this year, but he's getting talks for both of it. Kinds of Kindness and the aforementioned Civil War, where he's only in one scene, but it's the scene that everybody is talking about.
It was luck. Movie. He was just happened to be on set because his wife is in the movie. Like, that's just ridiculous luck.
Well, it's like the guy backed out like the day before or the day of or something like that. And so she's just like that. Let me call Jesse. Like, and then
I think he was there.
Oh, he's just there.
He was like on set because they were like trading the kid off or whatever because of it just dumb luck that we'll get Jesse Plemons for scale.
It's incredible.
And his stock is definitely on the rise.
I hope it goes that way though.
I guess there's an easy one that there's I guess what is it, like the Walmart of stocks now? Like it's just going up. There's no way that this is crashing. Giancarlo Esposito. So he was in Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. He was in The Gentleman. He was in Abigail. He was in Parish, Megalopolis, The Boys, Maxine.
I was about to say Maxine.
That dude is in everything, and he's always good. He brings it. But I think that's where the smart money is. Invest in Giancarlo.
Especially because of Maxine, that was such a different role for him. Like, and Abigail too. Actually, he got to stretch out a little bit this year. He's not just playing Gus Fring anymore. Not that there's anything. I love him playing Gus Fring.
He's kind of Gus Fring in The Boys. Like he's kind of Gus in The Boys.
It's a variant of Gus.
So there's a smaller stock that I'm going to say both of you should invest in. Robert Timothy Smith. I don't think you know him by his name, but you know him from his work. So earlier this year, he was in Wolves, the Brad Pitt, George Clooney Apple movie. And then he was in Dear Santa playing the lead in that. But he's also in Skeleton Crew playing everyone's favorite character, Neil, currently. That is the same actor doing those. I got to say, he's going up in this world. People are definitely talking about Neil.
I mean, he's just a little trunk. It's like, how do you? it's just so cute. God, I don't want Skeleton Crew to end. Just be an endless adventure of Jude Law leading a bunch of idiot kids through space. Like,
Episode 5 was like the first thing that I can call a chink in the armor, where it was like, no, don't do that. But
there's so many references in that one too. Like it feels like it's in the same vein. Like even if it's lesser quality, I'm digging it. But we'll see. They've got time to mess it up.
I didn't want to see a particular item open up, and that's
so they screwed up. It's been in one of the trailers that it's on his belt, so like we knew that it was going to happen at some point. But yeah.
Well, who cares if he reads a book, guys? It doesn't matter if people can read books.
If this show could go the entire season without making one of them related to or a Jedi, I will feel so much better.
Oh, 100%.
The only way that you got to see that tool used was amazing. I loved the way that happened.
That was hilarious.
Comedically speaking, it was cute. Yeah. I like the subversion as much as I was like, no, I don't want to see that. But yeah.
Okay, so the chat brought up this one. I don't think I knew him, even though I'd seen him in different things. Fred Heschinger. So you may or may not remember this kid. He was in the first season of White Lotus, but this year he was in Thelma. Then he was in the Know, Nickel Boys, Gladiator 2, and Craven.
And Gladiator too.
Yeah, so he was Kalakala in that one. The one with the monkey. What can I say?
Oh, that dude. Okay.
But also, if you've seen the amazing Thelma from earlier this year, she's his grandson. Yeah. Just that dude seems to be in a lot of things. So hell yeah. I think that dude's stock is really taken off this year. I guess you could say that about like anyone in Nosferatu. Essentially, there's Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's in The Fall Guy and Craven and Nosferatu. You got Bill Skarsgård, who's in Boy Kills World, The Crow, and Nosferatu. Granted, The Crow is bringing him way down in this one, but
Dude, Boy Kills World. That's another one that like enough time had passed. I enjoyed that. It's fresh while feeling like something you know. I really
enjoyed it, man.
Yeah,
same. And it just shows you what that dude can do physically. Why couldn't we get any of that with The Crow? I don't know.
That's a top 20 movie for me this year.
Which one?
I think it's
Boy Kills World.
Oh, okay, I got you.
It's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as long as we're still on the Nosferatu train, Willem Dafoe. He was in Kinds of Kindness, Beetlejuice, Saturday Night Live, and Nosferatu. Like,
oh yeah,
all those guys are having pretty big years.
Did something happen to Lily Rose Depp's face?
Did something happen to your face?
It definitely looks like it's a little bit more Tim Burton-esque.
It looks
but
fluffy.
I don't know. I agreed. She does not seem like the same person from Yoga Hosers. But
listen, if it's
who is the same person from Yoga Hosers?
Medical reason or something. I'm just genuinely asking because she looks different.
She was the friend in Nosferatu, right?
She's the chicken.
She's the main
one.
Oh, she's the main chick. Sorry. I spent the entire movie being like, "Who are you? I know I've seen you before." That's hilarious. Okay.
So I have Gellner on my thing as well.
Yeah.
And the one thing that you're missing on this is the amazing resurgence of Dinner in America. Now it might not be as big as anything else, like Smile 2, but man, it's getting this like small kind of tour that's going on with a bunch of
re-released in theaters.
It's
partially
great.
because of COVID, but it's got buzz, and they're like wheeling it into this tour that they're showing it in select cities if you request it. And like, what does that say for the theater industry that you can just call in a request? Hi, can you put on this for tonight, and we'll come see it?
Well, and you might either get a stream in of like piped in the actual like filmmaker, or if they're around, they might actually come in for a Q&A, which is just crazy. I'm super jealous of I think they did it a couple times in New York. Those guys got some love.
I was I wanted to go, but because they were going to be in London, I was like, I could technically go to both, but I went to none. So if you had to produce a film that you're putting together today, you can use, again, Ridley Scott, producer and director. If you're putting together your own film and you're basing your casting on the success of 2024 or upside of any of these people in 2024, who would be at the top of your list?
Giancarlo would be like the top of my male list. I gotta be honest, I think I'd go Blake Lively for females. So not only was she in If, then Deadpool, Wolverine, It Ends With Us, which I think had a budget of like 35 million or something like that. It made like 300 million. And then, man, is she coming out strong with some pending lawsuit / drama stuff. Just a lot of people are going to be talking about her very soon.
That's not the most positive reason.
I don't know, man. So mistreatment on stats. Currently, it's just being a accusation, but supposedly it's step one in like the litigation process. But the kind of fixer PR person that Justin Baldoni had hired is basically flipped and is now on her side. And she's got deposition like every bit of the communication, and it seems to be pretty in her favor at this point. But Baldoni is just about to respond, so we'll see.
I've got a fun one that I don't think has been mentioned yet for 2024.
Okay,
who's your number
in your movie?
Yeah, who are you casting?
Aubrey Plaza, man, she had an incredible year.
So, yeah, my old ass Megalopolis and Agatha all along. Excuse me, man, great year for her.
But also like a couple of like I guess she did a short film called something or other. I'm not going to try and Try and pronounce that. A TV show. Like she worked a lot this year. She has a lot of 24 credits, and Megalopolis is a shit show, but she's one of the most talked about things in that movie as one of the few actors that like seemed to understand like what they needed to do. And Wow Platinum as I think the runaway character of that movie. I could be wrong about that, but
yeah, and everyone's kind of praising my old ass. I haven't seen any real criticism towards that, and I'm not seeing a lot of hate for her performance in Agatha. Just a lot of hate that they didn't bring that character in sooner.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I think she knocked all of it out this year pretty hard. Yeah, that's my vote. It was the Aubrey Plaza year.
I'm sticking with my opening. I'm getting Kaylee Spenny because of Priscilla. It seems like the next step was Civil War, and then the next step was Alien Romulus.
Yeah.
She's on the she's on the uptick. Oh, here we go.
She can't be in all of our films though, right? So you take the Spanny. I guess I'll take Lively.
Listen, all of these people have done multiple films this year. If you need to have them, we'll just work out the scheduling, and maybe I'll pay more.
Well, I'd like to throw one more out there that I'd like to cast. Nick Frost. He has had like an amazing year. Now they're not all great films. In fact, most of them are not. Crazy House, Time Stalker, How to Date Billy Walsh, Seize Them, Black Cab. He actually wrote one called Getaway, which is the only one of his that I haven't seen this year. And then he's SM33 on Skeleton Crew.
Yeah,
like his stock is just on the rise right now. So I want him in there. Give me him, Giancarlo, and Blake Lively, and I think we got a hit on our hands. It doesn't matter who's directing.
What do you think about
she can direct?
Wait, is that
Aaron Taylor Johnson, by the way? Because he had Craven, but he was also in Fall Guys, and he was really good in that movie.
Yeah.
And
Nosferatu.
And Nosferatu, he was really good in it. Just saying.
Yeah. Kaylee Spenny's in Knives Out 3. Is that
Oh, is that confirmed? That's cool. Okay.
That's awesome if she is. Hell yeah. I'd like to see her in that type of role. Right? I've kind of seen her. I've seen a broad spectrum of what she can do, but man, I don't think I've seen her in kind of a mystery setting. That'd be fun.
Without naming The Last Jedi, what is a Rian Johnson failure?
I mean, I didn't even consider Last Jedi. The Last Jedi.
Brothers Bloom did not do good, and because of that, like it kind of set him back down to make a very small grounded story, and that's why we got Looper. So I would go Brothers Bloom.
I've been stumbling across things because December is the time that Star Wars movies came out, and people talking about Rian Johnson being the worst thing to happen to ever. And like people forget that he directed a lot of clutch episodes of Breaking Bad.
Oh,
like he's not out of nowhere, this guy.
No. I don't put Looper up against a lot of the sci-fi from like any of the last 10 years. I guess Looper is now more than 10 years old. But it's a decent sci-fi flick. Sure. I recently went back and watched it. Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt doesn't look so much like Bruce Willis, but enough. It works.
Yeah, Knives Out. Very rarely do I get to say, if you can't catch Clue, watch blank. But Knives Out is
so good.
Fun. It's fucking fun, man.
It's
like I like that one. I didn't like the follow up, but I'm hoping Knives Out 3. Yeah, Glass Onion. It rubbed me a little bit wrong.
That's fair. I
have issues with Glass Onion. I do like it though. I like it a lot actually.
There was something where I forgot. I only let the YouTube thing play 30 seconds of the video, and then I was like, no, I can't. I don't have 55 minutes to drain my brain on this topic. But a video brought up the fact that Rian Johnson hasn't done anything successfully, and I was just like,
excuse me, sir?
I mean, Brick is extremely successful for what it was, like his original one.
Tiny.
He convinced his family to loan him the money so that he could actually do this. I can't remember how many million, but it made much more than that. And then that led to the success where he could do Brothers Bloom. And then
he started as an editor.
That one did not go well.
That makes sense.
He did. And he employs a lot of his family as well. Like I believe it's his cousin who does all the music for him.
Nepotism.
Yeah, but in a good way. Man, the score for Brick, like it really kind of sticks with you. And the one for Looper is pretty awesome too.
And Star Wars is $1 billion movie, so bro's $1 billion director, So like,
yeah, that's not the argument.
His cousin didn't get a score that one.
I know
that's the one that his cousin didn't score.
I'm just singing some praises for my guy Ryan. That's all.
But how many toys did that movie sell?
86 billion.
Not
I have
nearly
this.
enough.
I have this interview where Luke says that he didn't think that this was part of his character at all. But I'm only going to play the first half of that sentence because if I played the entire thing, it would be a little detrimental to my case.
Okay.
Like if Mark Hamill said, and then the director told me what he was talking about and what was written, and I understood. But you don't need to hear that for the sake of what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you were going to literally play a clip. And
I wish.
I'm picking up what you're putting down here.
If I had $1 for every time someone played a clip of Mark Hamill saying, this is not as Luke Skywalker, this is not what the character would do. But then they always cut it off there and do not play the next part where he's like, and then Ryan Johnson sat me down and explained what was going on and how he got there and blah. And if you watch the movie, he actually is Luke Skywalker by the end, but I don't know how did this happen? This is my fault. Somebody brought up Knives Out. I apologize.
Well, let me go ahead and kind of pivot back to this.
Thank you.
I got one that's coming out of left field. It's a different actress. So they happen to be in a movie called Lost and Found in Cleveland. They were in American Horror Stories this year. Inside Out 2. They happened to play a lovely cameo in the movie, or excuse me, the TV show Velma, which only I enjoy. But, they also had quite a lovely cameo in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead remake. And then they had a starring role in Thelma. Put June Squibb in like anything. I love that lady. I want her in my cast as well.
That was a fun movie.
It's a fun year for her, man. She had a lot going on.
I have nothing negative to say about the movie that I've clearly forgotten the name of. Thelma.
I guess there is one negative thing. We can't get Thelma 2 with Richard Roundtree. That is a sad thing. But that's the only negative. But she's 95 years young right now. I want her in. Yeah, I want her in my movie. Wow.
Yeah, I forgot she played Nostalgia in Inside Out too.
Why can't she run our country? Sorry. Don't deviate. My fault.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Like every other person I'd want to mention, you guys already mentioned. So I think I'm out of people, but I definitely would pull hard for Aubrey Plaza and whatever this weird movie is we're casting.
I think a lot of people are pulling hard for her.
Yeah, they are. Dash Mal.
Dice is a great casting as well. Yeah, I would take that dude in any film, any role that he's willing to.
Obligatory Dasmalkian reference.
How do you pronounce his last name? Is it Dasmalkian? Is it Dashmalin?
I have mispronounced it every single time I've tried, and I've been corrected, and I don't seem to learn.
Duhostmelon?
Duhostmelon.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, however you pronounce it, dude's incredible. He did going all the way back to The Dark Knight. I don't think he had a line in that movie, but you remember him in that movie. He laughs
because he's got the name tag.
Yeah. Dude's just incredible. Polka Dot Man, he was incredible. He was my favorite part of that movie.
This small chin.
He explained.
That's awesome.
You pronounce it like this small chin. Wait, so the small chin.
Pretty sure I'm gonna forget that, but that's awesome. I hope I remember.
Chin. That's easy to remember. This small chin.
He also has kind of a big chin, doesn't he? That's hilarious.
Irony.
I don't know if he actually does.
It's a good size.
He's got a healthy size chin.
See, that's the second person whose name I've learned from, like Kyle Gallner says it's pronounced Gallner, not Gallner.
Oh, funny. Okay.
The Gull.
Which is funny because the director of Strange Darling is J.T. Malner. Not pronounced Malner.
My name's Lindsay, not Lindsay, spelled with an A. It's E-Y. Get it right, guys. I haven't sucked off Smile 2 enough yet. Naomi Scott deserves a shout out. Did she have other stuff going on this year? I love Naomi Scott. I'm not shitting on her, bro. Yeah. Did she have another movie this year?
I don't think so. But are we doing a musical? Because if so, I do want to cast her. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's find out real quick. I'm pulling up her IMDb. Because, again, I'm not crazy about the Aladdin movie, but I liked her in it. She was really good. And the same with the Power Rangers movie. It wasn't great, but I liked her in it. She was really good.
Yeah. And, fair enough.
Oh, she was in a movie called Distant? I never heard of that, but...
movie called what?
Distant? Looks like a sci-fi thing. Oh, Zachary
I'm not sure
Quinto's
of
in
that
it
one.
too. Okay. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I guess the other one that hasn't kind of been brought up, Theo James. I wasn't as familiar with his work before this year. He was
did the
in, I think,
Gentleman
White Lotus
series.
season 2. Yeah,
And the
but
Gentleman.
he headed up the Gentleman, and then he happened to play Bastion on X-Men 97. So
Yeah, he was really good.
pretty heavy
too.
hitter series that he was in.
Mm.
So,
A lot of TV
oh yeah,
work.
yes, but good TV. I mean, this is Guy Ritchie TV. Come on.
Excuse me, he was in the cinematic classic that defined an entire generation. Divergent.
True.
Mm.
He
Oh,
was in
actually
that
also
series.
Insurgent and Allegiant as well. I can't forget those. Like I think
Oh,
his
this is a
career
franchise.
actually is an unfinished franchise. We'll get that fourth movie one day, guys.
Lindsay, what was it about YA stuff that it went from being all over the place to just gone?
Well, I think it was just a sped up version of like the superhero stuff that we're seeing. It just
Huh.
they burned the candle not at both ends, but like at all four ends somehow, and it just the entire thing just went up. And then like there's not only there was like the disturbing overabundance of it that we had for a minute, but they were all just the same goddamn story. It's post-apocalyptic teenagers going up to adults, giving them what for, and after a while, it's just like you're just watching the same movie over and over and over.
It's weird because it was big and died a death so fast.
Yeah,
like it was
did, but we got so many versions of it.
Yeah.
You know, that dystopian teen drama that's also a romance in some way.
Dude,
we got to
that's
run
what
through mazes. We got to diverge from where we were going, and you know,
like there
people were
wasn't
hungry.
we didn't have time to have like mediocre things. Like everything, even the mediocre.
I would say a lot of those were mediocre.
Yeah, that's
Sure,
the
but they
mediocre
made
was
money.
actually pretty common, actually.
The mediocre stuff still made money. It wasn't like, oh, here's this $20 million thing. Everyone saw the thing, no matter how not good it was, but it just died so fast. It was really weird.
You're not
And then I guess
wrong.
Ready
Sorry.
Player One was one of the last ones. Ender's Game.
Oh.
There are a bunch of kind of.
So yes,
weird
what year did we
tangent.
say it like it did 26? Oh, go ahead.
I was sorry. Just Troy McClure brings up Battle of the Chins, Leno or Campbell. Nobody can defeat Bruce Campbell's chin. I mean, come on. His first autobiography was called "If Chins Could Kill," and his could. So please, Bruce Campbell. Sorry for talking about. You were talking about the teen dystopian things.
Well, I was just gonna say, was it 2015, 2016? Do we have like a definitive death date for these, or is it like
Ready
just
Player
kind of
One
a
was like 18,
That sounds right.
18, 19.
That sounds right. And that definitely did pretty well. I mean, it was a Spielberg movie. But,
I asked you, Lindsay, because it seemed like anytime we were discussing YA stuff, you were like balls deep in it. So,
well, I was that weirdo who like went and actually read some of the books too. Not all of them, but some of them. Like I read Hunger Games, I read Divergent, I read the first Maze Runner. I was trying to understand all that myself at the time, and I never really came to a conclusion.
Hate Hunger Games 1 and 2.
They were okay.
And then the films, at least, like the end, it was just like, oh, is that it? And that's the last thing we have PSH in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
That one hurts. Philip Seymour Hoffman is my like goated pick for character actors.
For sure. He's definitely
his performance in Twisters is like a Twister or whatever. It's still one of my favorite things.
Are you thinking Glenn Powell? Yeah, fair enough.
Look, let's be honest. Glenn Powell is the resurrected Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Okay, I can get behind that. So can I ask this hypothetical film that we're casting? Do we have a genre? Is it a musical? Because if so, I think there's a couple more wild cards I want to bring in on this.
Well, it's your movie. It's your money.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Then yeah, I'm going musical. In that case, bring me Fred Durst. He's had a hell of a year. He has been a cameo in quite a few things. He had kind of a pivotal part in I Saw the TV Glow. One of the movies that we talked about now, and then he was also in Hello Neighbor, Welcome to Ravenbrooks, which is some sort of thing. But yeah, on top of him, let's also get Post Malone. He's in everything. He was in This Is Me Now, Roadhouse, Tales of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and maybe another movie that was recent where he has a surprise cameo in. But their stock's on the rise. Every movie that they're in, they sing, right? Let's do this. They're in my musical now.
Sure.
Cool.
The story of Woodstock '99, starring Fred Durst.
Yeah. I mean, let's do this. We got this.
Dice, who else is your suggestion for an actor to cast other than Dismulchin?
Dismulchin.
Is this a hint? What is that? Someone running with a fart poof behind them?
They run fast.
Daniel Radcliffe.
I show speed.
I should. Well, he's a psychopath.
Pretty sure Fred Durst would disagree with your idea of a hell of a year. Oh,
well, fair enough. I mean, it's just one of those days.
Everything is fucked. Tice, you could have just said it. Is this a hint? I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
It's a clue.
I love that.
Apparently,
and suddenly it's a clue. I can't even technically see the one on the left, so that's how blind I am. Battlefield Earth, The Fanatic.
I mean, if there's a franchise that's ripe for the rebooting, why not Battlefield Earth?
Yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah, because John Travolta's in both Battlefield Earth and The Fanatic, and Fred Durst, director of The Fanatic.
We've
got some of that.
I know Fred Durst directed The Fanatic. That's amazing.
Why did you think
really?
Biscuit was in the car ride?
Yeah,
I guess that makes sense.
The one thing he's done. Fair enough.
Woof. How do you feel about that now? Is the movie better or worse now that you know that Fred Durst directed that?
It's neutral. It changes nothing.
It's his directorial debut. I mean, do you give it some leeway because of the debut?
Nowhere to go but up.
I'm going to say it's just more of a side grade. Instead of like going up or down, it's just building out the base,
The Quine. John Travolta, such a weird decision throughout that whole movie.
That's all John Travolta does these days, I feel like. It's just weird decisions. And I kind of respect it.
People do that, and sometimes, like Nick Cage does that shit, and it pays off now.
Yeah.
Where Travolta, when was the last time he did it where it's like, yeah, I'm totally about this.
Phenomenon.
I don't know.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a minute. He had a bunch of choices. They're kind of fun, like the Gotti movie and everything. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen a good Travolta one.
Yeah, so
wild.
Guys, we're gonna talk about the films of 2024 the next time we see you.
Cool.
But this was, just kind of wrapping up the numbers. I will have the specific stats as far as how the box office as a whole did this year. Spoiler, unless something drastic happens in the next 24 hours. The total box office, at least domestic, did not surpass last year's, which is a problem.
Did it come under it or did it match it? Because I know they're kind of close, right?
It might match it, but it's not going to. It's not going to be significantly stronger.
Okay.
I think you were saying it had to get like at least 80 million like every weekend. I know it hasn't hit that like with every single weekend.
I don't have updated stats, but it would really need to. It would need to be incredible, and this holiday week it hasn't been. So
yeah,
it's not going to match it. I don't think.
Okay, so here I got hard numbers here. So at the moment, this could change, but where we are right now, 8.5 billion.
They're hard enough.
And last year was 8.9.
It's not going to do it.
Nah, I don't think we're getting another
$400,000
tomorrow.
400 million.
Yeah, wait, when I say 400 million, I'm sorry, 400,000. Yeah, they'll get that tomorrow easily. 400 million.
No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
2023, like a lot of people said, that was the worst year in a while, and we didn't match it.
We did.
Just imagine if you didn't take those two movies away.
Yeah, it's kind of a.
This is
also Avatar: Way of Water was a 2022 movie, but it made most of its money in 2023. So
that's awful.
Yeah.
That is awful.
Fun fact, you actually, so not counting the COVID years, 20 to 22,
Yep.
to get another year of box office numbers that comes in under $9 billion, you have to go all the way back to 2005, which was a low year, because after 2005, you actually have to go all the way back to 2000. And that's not counting inflation. If you bring inflation into some of those years, these years look even worse.
You have the third piece of the prequel trilogy in 2005. I know that much.
Yeah, not much else though. I don't know off the top of my head what actually came out in 2005. I just saw a few things again on Twitter. I'm a loser, I know, about people being like, "Nah, everyone was like saying that this year is going to be worse than 2023. It's going to be about on par." And I'm like, is it? Let's look up some numbers. And yeah.
The problem is that means next year needs to kill it, and it won't, because the strike was last year. So you're starting to get the strike stuff coming. Like Superman better be good. Like you have to think of these like heavy hitters that traditionally need to make money.
Superman. What else is coming out next year? That's gonna be big.
Snow White.
Snow White. Okay, let's see. 2025 movies. The most anticipated movies of 2025. Wolfman. I am actually excited for Wolfman. Captain America: Brave New World. Paddington in Peru. Oh, Mikey 17. I'm actually really excited for that. That's the new Bong Joon-ho movie. I'm super down for that. Snow White, Minecraft. That's gonna be the most painful thing to ever exist.
The Adolf Hitler book.
Oh, Charles. Something called Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan with Ryan Coogler in there. So that sounds good.
Is that going to make $500 million? Do you think?
I mean, Ryan Coogler's made $1 billion movies in the past.
Sure.
And this says Michael B. Jordan playing twins.
Okay.
Thunderbolts, that might make $1 billion. Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, that might make $1 billion. Lilo and Stitch, I hope doesn't make $1 billion, but it probably will. Karate Kid Legends, the trailer for that actually looked pretty good. Doubtful that'll make $1 billion though. Ballerina, if the other John Wick movies haven't made $1 billion, I don't see that making $1 billion, but that'll be fun.
Yeah.
28 years later, but we got money.
Sean, thank you for the €2 total separately twice. Appreciate it. So a different shift. Now you're not, you're taking your one actor planned project that you're opening 2025. You're bringing it to a studio between.
Sorry, what? One big one to bring up: Jurassic World Rebirth. All of the Jurassic World
they do well.
Yeah, so that'll probably be about $1 billion.
Internationally, it's along those Godzilla lines where it's just like, all right, big things destroying things. I'll go see it. No English necessary. Disney, Universal, Warner, Paramount, Sony. We'll throw A24 in there.
I'm going A24. I think me and Giancarlo, we got something going. We can get A24 to bank this. I think it'll work.
Do you know what the rest of this premise is? You're bringing this project to a studio. Okay, all right.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I looked at the way that I've ranked them throughout the year, and I think I'm happy sticking with that. But sorry for interrupting you. What is the rest of the premise there?
Based on how their 2024 went, how do you feel about those studios going into 2025? And would you want to put something that's important to you? Which studio would you choose?
A24.
Yeah, I'm sorry for cutting you off and not understanding the premise fully. I stick with A24.
Anytime I get
it would depend on the movie I'm trying to make, I guess. Am I trying to make a superhero movie? Like, maybe I gotta go Disney in that case. If I'm trying to make a bad superhero movie, I guess I gotta go Warner Brothers in that case.
Where do you go? Where do you go if you're trying to make money?
I mean, A24.
That's a good question. Well, the thing with like the Disney, so Disney does seem to have the most of it's 3 of the top 4. It seems like they would have the most of it, but those budgets are quite big. And then on top of that, I don't think your percentage is going to be that big of it. Where I think you might get a little bit more reasonable of a percentage if you're going with like A24 or something. But fair enough. If you just look at them make money, be on the top of that list, I guess you want Disney, man. They're going to put money into the advertising. They're really going to help you in post. Hell yeah. But less control.
Based on reputation.
A24.
Wow.
They have yet to make a bad movie.
That is not true, but I enjoy most of their films from this year. Ooh, A24 ranking in the future?
Okay.
I'd be down for that. What would you call a bad A24 movie? Because I legitimately haven't seen. Okay, well, sir, I'm going to have to just put your face really close to the webcam. I'm going to just smack you. Okay.
1 star. He did give it 1 star, so fair enough.
Arguable, Lindsay. Debate me, Dice. Let's go.
I think I might agree with you guys with A24 because they took 50 million from Civil War and made it 120, which the ROI is double and then some. I mean, I'm not going to get the people from Terrifier 3 to fund my thing and 45x it, but at Disney, it feels like, and like the scene that I am constantly talking about, they're spending like $250 million
a movie,
and not even making that money back sometimes. Where make something for 20 million, and if you make 30 million, you made money.
Moana 2 still hasn't hit not even 900 million. I mean,
the
it's
nerve.
I know it's doing fine. It's doing absolutely fine, but like I just had to check if it's hit 1 billion yet, and it's under 900. So, no.
Yeah, I just think some of the heavy hitters, like Disney, Universal, Warner. Oh, we can get to the news, and I'll use this as something of a segue. Sony, they just put their money in stupid shit, and they get paid off sometimes. But which leads me to the topic that not that much news. People are home from the holidays. This has kind of gone around on the social media sites. Gray, do you have access to that link that I sent you? Gray's looking at it now, but apparently the CEO for Sony Pictures. Oh, look at this. Nice. Gray, you're muted.
I apologize. Yeah, I was just saying, let me share it so that everybody else can see it. But yeah, Sony Pictures CEO blames the failure of Craven and Madame Web on bad reviews. These are not terrible films. And he reiterated that multiple times in this thing. They're not bad films. But Tony Vinciquerra, I am totally saying that wrong, but the Sony Pictures CEO said critics are... Yeah, Tony V. The one. He said critics are to blame for the box office failure of its recent movies, Craven the Hunter and Madame Web. Sony has owned the rights to Spider-Man and other superhero characters since buying them from Marvel in the 1990s. In 2017, Sony launched a new series of Marvel movies to rival Disney's popular Marvel Cinematic Universe. And some have done pretty well, like Venom and the rest of the trilogy. If you look, number 10 is... The Last Dance on this year's box office. Which stars Tom Hardy as the titular anti-hero and collectively made some $1.8 billion according to the numbers.com. Should we be using the numbers.com?
We do.
Okay. I was not when I was pulling my numbers.
Not a sponsor.
Others less so, particularly Madame Web and Craven the Hunter, released in February and December respectively. That's a lot of respect they're showing them. According to Box Office Mojo, Madame Web broke $100 million worldwide, and Craven the Hunter has made $43 million at the time of writing. For some reason, I thought Craven did better than Madame Web, but my bad. They did have more time.
Weird thing is,
Madame Web. Oh, sorry. Go right ahead, Charles.
Madame Web took 9 months to make $100 million. That's not fair.
That's fair. True. Yeah, okay.
But keep in mind, Madame Web had a budget of $80 million, according to Forbes, and Variety reported that Craven had a budget of more than 100 million, so I guess they've got more to make up. Plus, there were quite a few. I think there was a lot more advertising for Craven. I know that they started the campaign way earlier, where I heard nothing about Madam Web until it was pretty much like just out. So, if my memory doesn't fail me, I do believe they put a lot more into the advertising budget of Craven. And then, speaking to Los Angeles Times, Tony V described Craven as the worst launch that Sony has had since starting its Marvel franchise.
Yeah,
that's saying a lot.
It didn't work out very well, which I still don't understand because the film is not bad. So, that is not the reviews that I've heard on it. I have not yet partaken of the Craven. I figured I'd give it time to mature. Let it settle a little. But Craven currently has a 17% ratings on Rotten Tomato. And Tony V went on to defend Madam Web, which received a lowly 11% score. And he said, Madam Web underperformed in the theaters because the press just crucified it. It's not a bad film. So this is the second time he's said one of these is not a bad film. I would like to know his definition of a bad film.
I would be fascinated to learn that.
And it did great on Netflix. Everybody loved it on Netflix. You know that they were all pressing the thumbs up for Madam Web on Netflix. For some reason, the press decided that they didn't want us making these films out of Craven and Madam Web. And critics just destroyed them. So, yeah, I guess it's just the critics' fault. Are we to blame? Are we part of this? Do we count as the critics? I'm wondering.
Yes.
Are we part of the problem?
Yeah, I think we're part of the problem here, but I could be wrong.
It's weird.
They also... Oh, sorry, go right ahead.
They'll blame the critics for something not doing well, but when something is lauded by critics, they'll jump to say, "Oh, the critics love it. Go see it because the critics love it." So, like, interesting.
I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. Like, nothing is ever your fault. Nothing is ever the director's fault. Nothing is ever the producer's fault. It's always someone else's fault. That's what, it's not the president's fault that the economy is fucked. It's the press media that are telling lies in order to make people think things that aren't true are true. It's everyone loves to blame the press. Everyone loves to blame the people that, I don't know. There was like a thing this week that came out that the majority of Americans want celebrities to not talk about politics, says the people that just elected a reality TV star for the second time to presidency. Sorry, that's enough politics. But I'm just saying, the press are a very easy scapegoat. The media in general are very easy to blame for things that don't have anything to do with them.
Yeah, well, as Tony V is saying, these movies are origin stories for the Spider-Man characters and are distinct from the Tom Holland-led Spider-Man movies in the Disney Marvel franchise. Madam Web was met with overwhelming criticism on its release. The Daily Telegraph's Robbie Collins said, what an unreserved, hopeless film this is. A sort of 2-hour explosion in the boringness factory in which the forces of dullness and stupidity combine in new and infinitely perturbing ways. That is quite, a colorful, review of Madam Web. I might not have been so eloquent with my own review of it, but I gotta say, there's some style in there.
You know what?
So it's his fault. Because I read those words, that's why people don't like Madam Web.
To side with Tony V a little bit, sometimes people get a little creative with their biting criticism of something, and it's like, dude, no one's going to hire you to write for them. Just say whether or not the movie's good. Yeah. It does get a little wacky sometimes, but that doesn't mean that your movie's good. So sorry.
Well, according to Wall Street Journal's Zachary Sprang, who tore into Craven, he wrote, about as exciting as the board meeting from which it surely sprang. Wow, that doesn't make me want to see the movie, but is it his fault or is it the movie's fault? So I'm not as familiar with Craven, but I have seen Madam Web. I can understand why he is calling it that way. And Robbie Collins' very colorful review of it, I can understand why he's saying that it is hopeless and it is a 2-hour explosion in the boringness factory.
Mhm.
I can understand that, but man, to just say that it's all their fault that the movie didn't do well.
Yeah, to wrap it up, Tony V says he suggested that the studio might need a new strategy in light of the persistently poor critical showing, which if the movies are good and it's the critics' fault, then why don't you just stay the course? And then he followed it up with, I think we need to rethink it just because it's snake bitten. If we put another one out, it's going to get destroyed no matter how good or bad it is. That is a weird thing to like.
Especially because they have yet to make a good one. So how do they know if they put out a good one? Then,
but he said they are. They're making a bunch of good ones. The critics are crazy.
Did that happen with the Venom movies though? Were they just torn apart? I don't
he
think
forgot
they
to mention
were.
those.
Yeah,
And
which is interesting.
if he's a CEO and helps on planning, why do you schedule Madam Web to come out in the middle of February? Follow up, why do you release Craven in the dead of December, not during the holiday rush, not during the Thanksgiving weekend, but like right in between the two?
Yeah.
Well, I believe it was a delay too. Like that wasn't the initial release date, if I remember correctly. And then also, wasn't there something kind of tricky where they weren't necessarily giving out screeners of it? I know it took a moment for the reviews to come out. Like they didn't come out till after the movie played, from what I was able to see on my
So that's the
feed
critics'
anyway.
fault because they weren't able to see it. People didn't.
So that's
go.
what I was wondering. Like, I don't specifically remember with Madam Web. I know I kind of heard about it before I saw it, but I don't know. When I heard how bad it was, I wanted to see it, and I don't think the criticism was necessarily wrong. But
I think
it's not the bottom of my list this year.
If you're a CEO of a film studio and you want to capitalize on a good film and the audience going to see it, especially considering you have two, release Madam Web in May and then pump Craven out at the end of July. But no, they avoided the summer months like the plague. So if you really think the films are good, you try to get it in front of the most eyes as possible instead of burying both films in the nether realm of winter, which just doesn't make sense to me.
What do you think the new strategy is? Is it just timing of the release, or is it? I don't know, because
I'm not saying that that's exclusively the fault, but if you are confident in something and you think the only thing that's holding your movie back is the critics, why aren't you trying to capitalize on as many eyes as possible?
It's a very good question.
My implication is that,
and it looks like Adam in the chat is backing me up where he's saying, yeah, it was supposed to come out in August. That's what I remember too, and it got delayed somehow to like Christmas, which is
I think it was supposed to come out before even that, because I think production on this wrapped in like early 2022. I could be wrong about that. I feel like this movie really got hacked up in post. Did anyone else see it? I forgot. Did anyone else? Was I the only one again?
Yeah, you're the one who saw
I haven't yet.
Don't worry about it.
It's on my list. I don't know if I'm going to get to it by the end of the year.
You guys aren't missing anything. But it definitely feels like a movie that was drastically altered in post. Like
there's got to be a sweet spot.
So.
There needs to be a sweet spot between Batwoman and fuck it, just put it out because we're going to chop it to death and we need to fit a release date or something. Those are two drastic choices, I think. Just pushing something out and just cutting it to death. And then, of course, having tax breaks because we'll make more money on taxes if we just don't release the damn thing.
Well, and then that's the other thing. So it looks like Adam's also backing what Lindsay was saying, that it was originally supposed to be summer 2023. Then it was pushed to August of 2024, and then finally being pushed to Christmas 2024. I don't know. I would have to think that the delays and the different release dates, that would be a factor in it. So maybe that is part of what he's talking about with their strategy going forward, but I don't know. That just seems really weak to say it's just critics, especially when I'm pretty sure there was not screeners put out on Craven. I'm pretty sure the reviews basically came out after it came out.
If I can, Go ahead, Lindsay.
each of these movies all had the same complaints. Like, why is this being made? This is a Spider-Man villain, and you're trying to make it a hero without Spider-Man. You destroyed it in post, but with all these 80-yard in lines that change the nature of characters, that change the nature of the story, that change the nature of the direction it's going. And then you have Madam Web that does like weird teases of Spider-Man, while Venom is like, I must go to New York in order to meet with a journalist, and it's like, it's clearly you're talking about Spider-Man, but you just can't say Spider-Man for some reason. It's like they never took any of the notes, and they just made the same movie like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 times. How many of these were there? I've kind of lost track. It's you can say that we are the problem because we didn't like your movie, but you made the same mistake 6 times. How is that anyone but your own fault? I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's some bit of shortcutting and cynicism with what they do, because it feels like they latched on to the Marvel name, which the Spider-Man movies have done well. Anything that like Sony is doing on their own has not. It's almost like, yeah, let's use the attention that Spider-Man's getting, and people will just come and see it because Marvel was so awesome in the 2010s, and it just feels like it's not really effort. It's more like a shortcut. Like, this is how we do things.
I wonder if, like, my theory that I've always had for these movies is like they're allowed to do whatever they want with Spider-Man stuff because they own the rights to it. But like Disney would never like sign off on like Tom Holland appearing in one of these movies, or maybe Tom Holland wasn't interested in appearing in these movies.
They have a certain number of appearances. Like they waste money if like don't want to waste our appearance on Tom Holland being this.
They're trying to get the most out of each one.
Yeah,
that could be it. So my theory is like, were they trying to like, if we build this like universe of villains that all going to come together to fight Spider-Man and everyone loves them, that'll like drive interest so that they could sign Tom on for more additional things or something like that would be my guess. But like these just never came together in any meaningful way.
Make a good
maybe
movie.
You're right. You're right.
Fair enough.
You're very right.
But look, if one villain gets all the people to come to it, imagine a team up, though. It would be, super amazing. It's never been done before. I would have to assume that they were trying to kind of rip off Suicide Squad type deal where, it's this group of misfits that comes together. Yeah. But keep in mind, everything takes years to kind of actually get from concept to execution.
I just
talked about the Sinister.
The Sinister Six. Yeah, they shit can that, didn't they?
Yes, very much.
They were like working their way towards and just decided, never mind.
Well, which one got shit canned? So sorry.
Sinister Six.
Oh,
no more.
Well, that's what all these were supposed to be. Because that was the idea. And
they did 6 years of bullshit for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
No ending. Yeah. Stop planning ahead is my thing. Make it.
And they even say Spider-Man a couple times, like in the post credit scene for Morbius. The flying man says, like, I don't know why I'm here. I think it has something to do with Spider-Man. But I think that's like the most direct reference and that was the worst impression of Michael Keaton that anyone's ever done ever. But
hold that thought for. Just finish your sentence because I've got color. I've got a.
Oh no! I just think that's it. I think that's the only direct.
Hold your Michael Keaton impression.
Oh, it's Holden.
Okay, so, Sean, €2. Thank you. They are not bad. Okay, amazing. Pinocchio, love the music. Don't know what that's in reference to. This is what happens when you wait too long. Marcy, 45 Danish Kona, thank you. It doesn't make sense to me why Sony is basically saying fuck you to the audiences and says it isn't their fault. Sony villain universe failed. Sean also says, thank you for the membership. Yes. They have their head up their backside. Troy, $5. Thank you. They are spot on, but worlds apart. Critics said your shit sucks. Audiences agree. It's not a conspiracy, just critics stating the obvious, aka their job. Very good point.
And do people like Venom, or do they just like Tom Hardy being a weirdo? I think they just like Tom Hardy being a weirdo. Anyway.
Do you put any credence with like perhaps if the public wasn't warned, they would have gone to see it? Is that like what he means? Like, how dare they actually drove away some of those bucks that we could have gotten?
Dude, how does Michael Bay have a career? If we're going on what the critics say, like That's kind of bullshit because everybody hates. I Mr. Trap himself. People hate M. Night shit, but God knows they go to it and they talk about it on social media. I mean, this is the same studio that thought that let's re-release Morbius because it's currently a part of the zeitgeist.
It could have been more in time. Did you know it wasn't?
Is that the critic's fault? Whose fault is that? Because it's not the critic's fault.
It's not a bad question. I think it's my fault because all things in life are ultimately my fault, if we're being honest.
Sean says Sony does good things, but delusional sentiment.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Adam brought up the PlayStation thing, but they did just buy a theater chain this year. So, like, sure, PlayStation works, but why are you putting more money into your cinema division? Like, literally buying cinemas.
Because they have to make all the money possible, not just a little bit of the money.
Yes.
I was just about to highlight that. Yeah, the sad thing is, despite 3 flops, Sony still made over $1 billion in profit with this franchise, entirely off of Venom. But yeah, you're very right.
Like that's the other thing. Like top 10 worldwide producers in 2024. Venom is 10th. Like they're learning I don't know if they're going to learn the wrong lessons. They're not like, oh, see, we just we did one thing slightly wrong, which is that the only thing that Sony has in there? Yeah. The only representative in the top 10 for Sony is Venom. And I think that's heavy on international, not as much as it is US. I think if you subtract, it's 476. If you subtract opening weekend, it's cut in half because I think it made like 80, right? 80 in America and then like 120.
I think so.
So it doesn't have legs, but why did you not put Venom and Spider-Man together? Was there some sort of obligation against that?
From what I understand, yes.
Okay. Because otherwise,
the MCU has the character, so they can't be using it. But there's other spiders. You had the Madam Web ones, like introduce them to other spiders.
Why not let the MCU borrow Venom for one of your Spider-Man movies, and then you take him back when you have your Venom movies?
They kind of did with a post-credit scene.
Cool. Yeah. Man, I love those post-credit scenes.
He shows up. He's in the MCU for a second and then gone.
Yeah, I wonder, like, how did that happen? I would love to have been in the boardroom meeting when that decision was approved. Ooh, Cody, though. Go ahead.
We kind of said that earlier, Cody. Yeah, it depends on what the argument is, but they'll blame critics unless you're singing praise for something. Then they're see, so and so said this. Here's a pull quote.
So I pulled up the 2024 Sony movies. So you got Venom, you got Craven, you got Madam Web. Those are the ones that everyone knows about. But then you got Bad Boys, which did pretty dang well. Yeah, like
stop worrying about comic shit.
Yeah,
well, it's one of the better like passing of the torch kind of reboot quills, whatever you want to call it. Man, I enjoyed that way more than I should have. They're not doing just trash, but that seems to be their main thing right now.
What else do you have in the Sony catalog, the Sony Columbia catalog there?
The rest of it's really nothing special. Like the best of what's left is Saturday Night and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
I don't hate Ghostbusters.
It was okay.
Don't put so much money into it. Take half the crew out.
Yes. But then the other ones are Harold and the Purple Crayon, the Garfield movie, and I guess It Ends With Us actually did pretty good. I shouldn't shit on that. That one did pretty well.
Compared to the budget, yes.
Step away from the big budget shit. Step away from the comic shit, and find something to put in your half dozen or 2 dozen Alamo theaters. I just why would you buy theaters if nothing about your
like Craven?
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like, do they have people that are like, hey, things aren't doing too well. These test screenings kind of suck.
I mean,
wait till the critics see this.
So, yeah. Well, I mean, then those people would be the enemy, right? If they're filling out little slips, they become a critic. So, I don't know. Maybe they don't do test screenings.
I think this is kind of interesting. Penguin did it best. A villain who becomes more villainous, not an anti-hero. We want good versus evil, face versus face matches suck. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like it's, I know that like Craven and Morbius sometimes work with Spider-Man. They sometimes ally together, but they are generally speaking villains. And the reason why it's effective when they team up and work together is because they used to be enemies. If they start as allies, it's less effective, especially if you're kind of doing that with this entire universe. I don't know. Well, you got thought face. What do you got, sir?
Why would you do something like this if you don't plan on paying it off? Like, don't reference things if you're like, even with Thanos, you had people like referencing Thanos and like his underlings were part of it. I mean, you had Thanos technically in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was there, but not really there throughout all those movies where you made all of these Spider-Man villain movies and Spider-Man wasn't really a thing, where it's just like, what? When are they supposed to cross over? And how long are you just going to not talk about it where we're supposed to give a shit? We all do, Cody. We all do.
I blame everything on her, like so much. So, like the theory that time travel doesn't just affect the future when you travel to the past, but it also kind of affects the past it's the same kind of thing. That's
spin on that thing.
Exactly.
Mars 89 Danish Corner, thank you. I understand Sony wants to keep their Spider-Man rights, but instead of just shitting in a box and saying, here, see this, they could just make a fun time instead of making Spider-Man fans worried. I think, what the weird thing is those animated Spider-Verse movies are very good.
Although who knows when we're getting across the Spider-Verse at this point.
Like, how about
Beyond the Spider-Verse, whatever it's called.
How about don't complain and try? Can you just do that? Like, it feels like they're like, oh, my cheat code didn't work. Wah. And it's I don't have any sympathy for this shit because like just seems like no one's trying. And again, going back to the rather modest list of original things, asterisk, more than half of these than half of these are horror films.
Yeah.
Name me a $250 million budgeted horror film. You can't, because like it just doesn't make sense to do that.
Challenge accepted.
Scale things back.
I mean, fair enough. This one I can't be a wet blanket on. You're
Civil War made 126, but they spent 50 on it. Civil War doesn't look like a cheap ass movie. I mean, sure, at times it does. I mean, you save money by using AI, but
yeah. I mean, I guess you could go like Aliens, but even then, like, what was the budget on that? Like 90 million or something like that. It was nowhere near. It's not your $500,000. I guess the closest you get is something like Folie à Deux, which is not a horror movie, granted, but some people found it scary. But I don't know. That just seems like bloat, just for the sake of bloat, to do this particular style of music, of movie where everything is kind of improv and you're just taking so much time to do everything. Like everything is, and doing it in New York and a whole bunch of other things that seemed rather unnecessary.
Yeah, like Red One, that has no business being. Lindsay, I think you're muted.
Oh no, I'm counting things off as I'm looking at the list of the highest, the most expensive horror movies ever made. But please, I love shitting on Red One. Ooh. What were you going to shit on Red One about?
That movie doesn't need to be a tenth of its budget. Like, how on earth is that a $250 million movie?
It's a very good question. And also some interesting math that I clicked in my head recently. Between The Rock's $50 million paycheck for that movie and inflating the budget $60 million because he's pissing in bottles all day long, he cost Amazon $110 million. If they got a different actor, paid him $10 million, that movie could have saved $100 million.
But they were only looking to make $100 million, and they did that, so you don't understand.
No, you're right. You're
I was subjected to some of that over the holidays, and I was like, this is terrible. This is awful. You know what I need? I need globetrotting in a Santa heist movie. Also, it needs to be the centerpiece for a bunch of Offspring movies about characters.
Every holiday. Yeah, it'll be great.
We're learning the wrong lessons.
What do you guys think
It's
is
a
the most
loss leader.
expensive horror movie ever made? By the way, it's just out of
That's a
curiosity.
Good question.
Yeah, I the moment I saw it, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense, but I also never would have guessed that.
Is it the Exorcist prequel from the mid 2000s?
Fascinating guess, but no.
It Chapter
Much more
2.
recent. It's up there, 79 million, but no. This movie cost over 100 million more to make than that.
A Quiet Place?
No.
2?
No way.
No.
A1?
No. World War Z.
Oh, brother.
$190 million. I know it's not really.
I guess it's
like,
horror adjacent,
but
fair enough. Action ones, you start packing on the bucks. Same with the bodies. It makes sense.
That's fair. So if we eliminate that then, because it's kind of actiony, we also have to eliminate number 2, Van Helsing, which is 150 million.
That one's a little bit more. I mean, so you have like at his prime, like you've got.
Okay.
But and then it's very horror adjacent. That one a little bit more to me, but yeah, I still wouldn't call it straight up horror movie.
Well,
fair enough.
The Wolfman 2010, because that cost 150 million.
Speaking of
I forgot about that one. Wasn't that Benicio?
Right? It is. It's super Benicio.
Yeah.
And Anthony Hopkins? Am I thinking of the right movie, or is that a different movie where it's Anthony and Benicio?
I think it's that one.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
Lindsay, didn't you have a couple? I'm sorry. Didn't you have a couple of other actors that are a significant portion of the film's budget, or is that just a conversation?
Just for fun. I after that Rock thing clicked in my head, I started looking up other instances of actors being paid insane amounts of money. I think the ultimate one, the all time, is Will Smith in King Richard from 2022. He was paid $40 million. The budget for the movie was $50 million. And that is the movie that he won Best Actor for, and he slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars.
It's a hell of a trivia question.
Right? Like, that's just an incredible thing in and of itself.
And so it cost $50 million, 80% of which is Mr. Smith's budget.
That was all up front too. None of that was back end. That was all up front, and the total gross for the movie was $39.2 million.
So even if they didn't spend another penny on anything, they still lost money just from having Will Smith.
Yeah, awful. Although I guess you could argue the movie wouldn't have made $39 million without Will Smith in it.
He still lost money.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah,
you could have me be in it and still lose money. I will go do it. Give me $500,000 and you'll lose $500,000.
Although if you do, you might have to do blackface, so that might draw people in. Just like I don't know.
Not exactly. Marcy says, I think he also compared Red One to Oppenheimer because they both were shot for IMAX. There was a weird. He wanted to because he saw Oppenheimer and he saw it in Christopher Nolan's seat, where Christopher Nolan sits where he watches it. He needed Red One to be that type of experience, and I don't know, didn't worry about the film that he was making. He just worried about the experience in the theater without thinking about what would be on the screen, which is kind of insulting.
He's a wild man, dude. Like I don't. Rock's
weird. He's
very weird, man.
Like, dude, you don't need to be so weird.
You didn't even watch The Young Rock, and you're saying he's weird. I did watch The Young Rock, and that man is insane.
I don't who is he trying to impress? I remember him as a young wrestler. Like he like really took a lot to heart because like one of the chants was "Die Rocky Die" in a video game. And he took that to heart. I mean, and
he was a great heel, right?
Character. Yeah.
That's the term. I'm not a super
yep. Face and heel. Face is a good guy. Heel's a bad guy. But like the guy had a hell of a 2010s. What are you still worried about what these piss ants think? Like what? And why are you lying about where you eat fast food?
Yeah, you hear about that? Like he said like 4 times he's had In-N-Out for the first time. Like what the fuck, man?
It's just really weird. Like,
And then
really,
he
really
tweeted
weird.
out like it pissed me the fuck off. Oh God, I just want to thank all my friends and everyone who loves me for helping to make Red One the biggest box office success of November. Sir, you came in 5th place. What are you talking about?
It wasn't even for the month. It was like 5th in that weekend, wasn't it?
Well, no. He said for the month. Like you made it's not even the biggest movie he had that came out in November.
Yeah, Denmark wouldn't have any of that shit. That's for sure.
Right?
I need Denmark logic in Hollywood. If it's not true, you can't say it.
Let me see if I can find the exact quote, by the way, because it's truly incredible. Diddly. Where is it? Because here it is. Okay. Oh God. Our little Christmas movie, Red One, has finally come home to you and your fams around the world on Prime Video. Thanks for making us the #1 at the box office last month, and we are primed and set for a nice long Amazon run in your cribs. Sir, you came in 5th.
Did he maybe mean like Zimbabwe or like some little? That doesn't make any sense.
Could you have meant globally? He's an international fella.
Even then, he's wrong.
Yeah, he's super wrong.
Like YOLO came out in China.
If there's something I'm missing, enlighten me. But I'm pretty sure this is one of the most insane things ever said on Twitter, and that's saying something. Or at least top 15 most insane things.
We're coming up on 3 hours, gents.
We are. Great show, honestly. I know we had kind of like a weird holidays, we missed a couple things, and then we did one Thursday show, and now we're doing a Monday show. But I'm always happy when I'm looking at your guys' faces talking about numbers.
Likewise. And once all this settles down, we'll be back to some sort of schedule. Or look for changes in the new year. We have a couple of months to figure out where our footing is. Ooh. But show business will have some changes and some things we're going to try out in these terrible months of January and February. But
we've got so many things to recap. Come on. What an amazing year of 2024.
Well, and I think next year, well, technically next year, next week, we're doing our best and worst movies of 2024 for show business, right?
Mm-hmm. And I will I tease the stats about what the year as a whole, it will not surpass 2023. No. And so the film industry has yet to hit $10 billion since COVID. And I don't think they're doing anything to...
Well, in 1 year. Well, no, 1 year.
Yeah. It was 2 billion in 2020, 4 billion in 21, 7 billion in 22, 8.9 last year, and it's going to be like 8.9 this year. But I'll have those exact stats next week. Spoiler. But yeah, we're going to have a little bit of numbers talk. That'll be our wrap up for 2024, and maybe if we have time, we'll discuss what we're looking forward to in 2025. And I'm not very excited about anything, to be honest with you.
Come on.
I got things I'm excited for.
The chat mentioned the Naked Gun remake. Come on.
Well, who do they have playing Leslie Nielsen's role? That's my question.
Isn't John Hamm? Did I make that up?
Oh, wait,
I just made it up.
That's actually kind of good casting, honestly. John Hamm.
If it's not him, I apologize. Because Winona Ryder had his kid. We know that. Jokes. I'm stupid. I didn't realize what I was talking about. Liam Neeson?
Liam Neeson to play Leslie Nielsen.
That's pretty funny.
I'd actually be kind of down for that. What do you got coming up on your channel, though? Charles, anything exciting?
I don't know. I don't know. A bunch of stuff going on around the scenes here, and my back's killing me, so I haven't had time to properly edit.
Bro, my back the last 2 days, it's like my lower back, like right above where my butt is. I don't know what it is. I'm on Advil, and I've been using these things. I feel you, man. I'm sorry.
Dude, I don't think heroin would do it for me right now. I am sore and cranky. But yeah, editing for a couple of hours seated in the same spots. I don't know if you guys notice it, but I'm always constantly shifting, and it's just uncomfortable, and I'm just cranky.
No, I feel you, man.
But yeah, no excuses. Gray, what do you got coming up? Content.
Before we get to
content?
Gray, everyone point at my brother Lucas for showing up 3 hours late to the stream and say shame, shame, shame.
I don't have an audio thing
Shame
for
and
that.
welcome.
Shame.
But yeah, I don't know. Content will actually happen in 2025. I have a schedule and a what do you want to call it? Resolution that I will actually
Yay.
have content out there. And I'm gonna work my way up to at least 3 things per week on my actual channel because 2024 was kind of death for my channel. I released like nothing, so that's gonna be much different. I've got a bunch of them in the works now, but there's gonna be simpler things, and everything will be coming out. So please, check it out in the future. Content. Lindsay, what do you have going on your channel, sir?
Oh, I am excited for 2025. 2024 was a terrible year, except for the fact that I really started making a whole bunch of content again, which I'm really kind of proud of. I did not hold up to my thing of 5 days a week. The whole 3-minute YouTube short thing has been a much more interesting experience than I thought it would be. But I have stuff coming. I have ideas that I want to play around with, and just tons of movies that I want to talk about with you guys and everyone else, because who doesn't love movies? That's why we're here, right?
Yeah. And for those of you who are still here, please interact with the content, whether it be thumbs up, comments, subscribe, all that stuff. Let us know if there's something you like about this or what have you. Interact with the content, because we're going to be, testing things out for the next couple of months, and your voices will be heard. I could promise you that. And absolutely go check everybody else's content out for a couple of reasons, because all different types of show business, like-minded content will be on everybody's channel. And Lindsay's shorts are like a quick little bite of what we talk about here.
And also, just while we're on the subject of this, whatever we end up doing for the end of year thing next week, I'll probably end up turning that into a full video. So if you just want to ever reference back to just specifically us talking about the best and worst of 2024,
yeah, go ahead and bite Lindsay's shorts.
Bite the heck out of my shorts. But yeah, give us who's got a final word for us here? Who's got something?
The final word for 2024?
Ooh.
Testicles.
Moodang.